Evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Does it feel like you're back in school, starting with the Pledge of Allegiance yet? Summer's not over. You still got some time left.
2 weeks.
1 week, 2 weeks.
Well, all right, Ms. Risker, can we please have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor.
Here.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Here.
Mr. Majak.
Here.
Mr. Radke.
Present.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Present.
Mr. Yanez. Mrs. Yarko.
Present.
Thank you, council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Zarko.
move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
I'd like to move consent agenda item D to consideration item C, 8C.
All right, so we'll take 7D from the consent agenda and make it consideration item 8C. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item on our agenda tonight is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. You gave a nice prelude to the first item on my report, and that is to recognize all the youngsters in the audience and their amazing accomplishment over the summer. But I don't want to steal any thunder from our renowned library director, Tammy Turgeon, as she's going to introduce this item. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Taylor, members of City Council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Koszubski, and residents. The Sterling Heights Public Library's mission is encouraging innovative living through literacy, discovery, and community. One of our goals is to support and create a community of readers. We do this through providing access to reading materials in various formats, as well as by providing programming that supports reading. This programming lays the groundwork for a child's educational journey and has a profound impact on their overall brain development. Research suggests children who develop strong literacy skills are more likely to succeed academically, exhibit higher levels of self-confidence, and actively engage in learning experiences. Children who enter elementary school with a solid foundation in early literacy are better equipped to engage in classroom activities, follow instructions, and participate actively in learning. As a child's first teachers, parents and primary caregivers have a unique opportunity to foster a love for reading and learning from the very beginning, which is pivotal to creating strong early literacy development for a child's lifelong success. Tonight, the Sterling Heights Public Library would like to recognize some of our youngest residents that have accomplished a great feat, reading or listening to 1,000 books before they start kindergarten. To talk more about the program, I'd like to introduce Jessica Leathers, one of our amazing youth librarians.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Mr. Vanderpool, and guest. I'm Jessica, a youth services librarian, and I believe with all my heart that books have the ability to change lives. That's why I suggested we bring back our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, because we know that stories can inspire, connect, and open a world of possibilities for even our youngest readers. Before I continue, I want to take a moment to thank our amazing volunteers who run the Friends of the Library. They sponsored this program, and they play a vital role in supporting our other programs at the Sterling Heights Public Library. We could not do it without them. To our amazing young readers, wow, you did it. You read 1,000 books before even entering kindergarten, and you know what? That's more books than some grown-ups read in their entire lives. But don't tell them I told you. Anyways, you've likely met some amazing talking animals, solved mysteries, visited magical lands, and maybe even giggled at some very silly stories and jokes. You've shown much dedication and curiosity, and most importantly, you've discovered just how exciting reading can be. And remember, once you're a library kid, you're a library kid for life. This place is always going to be yours. To the parents, caregivers, and families, thank you for making reading a part of your child's daily life. Even before they can read on their own, the benefits of being read to are tremendous. Stronger vocabulary, sharper thinking skills, a better grasp on language, and a natural curiosity for the world that surrounds us. It also builds empathy, imagination, communication, and community connection. Most of all, it creates beautiful memories and moments for you and your child to share for a lifetime. To every reader here, big or small, congratulations again. You have proven that stories have the power to bring people together, to inspire, and to shape your future. We are so proud of you. Now, I would like to invite everyone to please join me in congratulating all the children and the families that completed this challenge. We are so proud to have you as a member of the Sterling Heights Public Library community. We'll go ahead and call out all the children who are here in attendance and those who could not be here today.
All right, we now ask Mayor and City Council to come down. And for our award recipients, when your name is called, if you'd please come up with your grown-ups to accept your certificate of achievement. You guys want to line up on this side? Just come closer to me. We had 30 kids completed, so this is a big group of kids. Mariana Bermudez, Veronica Cox, Gavin Day, Eva Gabala, Jameson Gilbert,
Some of them are at home reading.
Ethan Harris.
That's for you, my dog. Congratulations. You don't have to, but how about a high five? You want a high five? Here, I'll do this both.
Do you have a high five?
Thank you.
Camden Hershelman. Camden Hershelman. Kenzie Hershelman. Kira Hudson. AJ Heiza.
High five. There you go.
Good job, buddy.
Jack Koshman. And Lily Koshman. Lily and Luke Koshman, all three. There's Lily's and Luke. Luke, all right.
High five for you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Mackenzie Christiniak. And Olivia Christiniak. No. Luke Langley. Hannah Littlefield, Sophia Lockwood, Elias Mansour,
The other one's only.
Mickey McKenna,
Yeah.
Joanna Misiolik, Charles Palmaville, Madeline Palmaville, Ellie Sackett,
I love those boots.
Charlotte Saputo, Isabel Scott. Oh, Charlotte. Oh, awesome.
Great job, Charlotte.
Isabel Scott, Hendricks Terry, Parker Testerman,
Congratulations, Ethan. You did so good. Thank you. Do you want to give a high five? Thank you. Some high five.
Good job, buddy.
Jameson Tynan, and McKenna Tynan. Okay. Congratulations to all of our award recipients, and thank you to the mayor, city council, and city management. Did we miss someone? No?
All good?
All good.
Thank you, guys.
It's gonna remove.
So the library just wants to take over the meeting today.
Yay.
Our next speaker,
Anytime.
Let's give them a few minutes.
Quick picture, okay?
thanks, Jess.
There they go.
We love when people stay for the whole meeting, but we understand, especially when dealing with young children.
Oh, yes.
But great job to all of you guys. Congratulations to the parents, too. We obviously know that it takes a lot from the parents and a big commitment from the parents. So thank you for engaging with your kids in that way. We really do appreciate it. Ms. Turgeon.
So the library's next speaker, we have Sarah Westerman, who is a student at Capella University working on her master's in public health. She has been an intern with the Sterling Heights Public Library since April of this year. And tonight she's going to share with you what she's been studying with regard to the Sterling Heights Public Library and social determinants of health.
Okay, thank you.
Before you get started, do you mind closing that door in the back? You might have to really yank on it.
The button will do.
You can hit the button.
Yank on.
There's a button on the inside.
Poor guy.
There he goes, he's got it.
Soldier, yeah.
Or break the door, whatever you want to do. As long as it's closed.
He was the man for the job.
Can it put on
Full screen.
presentation mode? Presentation mode?
Yeah.
Slideshow at the top?
Yeah, go to slideshow. Keep going, left.
Other way.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Takes a village.
Good evening, thanks for having me. I'm Sarah. I'm a public health grad student, and I appreciate you giving me a couple of minutes to talk about the project that I've been working on with the Sterling Heights Public Library. I'm by profession, a community health worker and an emergency manager here in the state of Michigan. For one of our final assignments, I'm one semester away from graduating, we were told to choose a public health space to spend some time in and do some research. And there was no question for me about where I wanted to spend my time. My classmates were choosing health departments and clinics and hospitals and labs. I said I wanted to do it at the public library. Go to next slide. Thank you. So I chose the Sterling Heights Library in particular because I raised my kids here. I wouldn't be here today as a grad student if the Sterling Heights Library didn't give me an opportunity to compete academically, professionally, and socially with my peers. Through a public health lens, the city of Sterling Heights is a really perfect place to study because of its incredible diversity. But in public health, diversity unfortunately often lends itself to disparities. So in this community, you boast an employment rate over 95%, and median home prices above $300,000, higher than much of the country. But also on the flip side, a poverty rate of greater than 11%, and 13% of constituents here over the age of 25 do not have a high school diploma. In addition to that, around 25% of folks living in Sterling Heights are considered what we call vulnerable population, under the age of 5 or over the age of 65. All told, disparities in socioeconomic areas like these account for as much as 50% of the variation in health outcomes that we see, like incidence of chronic disease, poor mental health, and generational trauma. Life expectancy can vary from zip code to zip code or even house to house based on factors like these. The National Academy of Medicine estimates that non-clinical factors account for approximately 80 to 90% of overall health. The 5 domains shown here are actually a vital concept in public health that we study in depth, and it's called social determinants of health. These are the non-medical conditions in which we are born, live, work, play, and age. And as communities work to increase or decrease specific determinants of health, they help level the playing field for overall health in their communities. The library and public libraries in general have really become a trusted and accessible community resource for individuals to help address some of these disparities in our communities. I've spent the past couple of months inventorying not only the Sterling Heights Library, but libraries all around our community, and just to see what kind of programs and offerings they are already using to meet the public health needs that we have been seeing more and more of in the community, and also where they're struggling. I've spent a lot of time talking to library staff as well about how they feel about becoming sort of quasi-public health professionals. And I recommend the public library to my clients almost daily to use for telehealth visits, to talk to their doctors and mental health professionals, to apply for Medicaid or food assistance. Several years ago, I worked the Midland Dam break up when I was with FEMA, and I regularly suggested the public libraries to go for applying for disaster assistance, charging devices, even looking for housing. The programs and classes offered by the library offer a bunch of different skills. If you have not seen your local library's programs yet, I highly encourage you to do so. And then also social groups that create a sense of community and belonging, helping to combat a very serious public health challenge that we face that's caused by isolation and loneliness in our communities. The library can make a really big difference to somebody who, for instance, only has a phone to access the internet. That's a really hard device to work on to create a proper resume and a cover letter, to apply for jobs. And jobs are the most consistent ways that people achieve health insurance in this country. The library also gives patrons access to things that many households can't afford to buy, like musical instruments or even household tools. Did you know that the Sterling Heights Library has a CPR dummy that you can actually borrow to take home and work with your family to learn valuable life-saving skills. It's one of the coolest things I found in any library around here, by the way. And then there's even a makerspace that has 3D printing and other emerging technology that can help people upskill and maybe even lead to a better paying job eventually. So I've always been told to leave with an ask. Here's my ask. For your next constituent meetings, consider using the library. Ask the library if you have ideas about programs or offerings that would benefit your community or your constituents. When you're providing resources to your constituents, list the library. And if you're working with organizations or other professionals in the community, suggest the library as an event space or for some sort of partnership. And please support library funding every chance that you get, including water sales at Sterling Fest, by the way, which were fantastic this year. More and more libraries are being asked to take on enormous tasks. More than 95% of the country lives within a library district, and librarians, more and more library staff in general, are being asked to take on issues like homelessness and domestic violence and mental health. Consider, please, how you are already trying to meet these needs in your community, and then reach out to the library and ask how you can partner with them to get it done. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, once again, you can see why we've had such an outstanding internship class this year. They've all worked on meaningful and very important topics and projects, all of which are going to benefit our community. So we have one of the best internship programs, I believe, in the state, maybe the country. We had we get about 20 every year, and they do amazing work. Mayor, we have one more presentation this evening. And this is regarding one of the largest road construction projects we'll have over the next couple of years, starting this year. It's a mega project on Clinton River Road, the entire road. Unfortunately, Mayor, your house is kind of in the epicenter of the project.
I know.
In fact, this city attorney told me he blocked your cell phone number because I'm sure you're going to be calling him every day for updates. So good luck with that. Anyhow, our city engineer is going to give an overview. We have a town hall meeting tomorrow night. We've invited 8,000 individuals. I don't think we're going to get 8,000. But we want to make sure everyone knows about this project. So we sent a letter out to everyone. We have the town hall tomorrow night. We'll be able to answer a lot of questions. And it's going to start soon. So our city engineer's going to provide an overview right now.
No wonder Melanie scheduled me for something else tomorrow night. You can thank Melanie.
Well, good evening. Maybe we'll see you there. I don't know. Thank you, Mark, and good evening, City Council, Mr. Koszubski. And yeah, we're excited to get this project going. So Clinton River Road construction, we started a while ago when we secured federal dollars for it, a significant amount of federal dollars. And there's a lot of hoops you have to go through when you're working with federal dollars. So we're excited to get this project going. It's really going to be a transformative project. So the project has been, like Mark said, the project goes from Canal Road to Hayes Road. It's 4.5 miles. So it's a long project. We were to the point we have put it out for bids. It's been solicited for bids. We have a contractor lined up, Proline Asphalt, who has done some successful projects around the city. Matter of fact, they're building 18.5 mile road for us right now. So we got a good contractor. So tonight I'll be giving just an overview of the project, the scheduling, the sequence of operations, and what to expect for maintaining traffic, which will be a big part of the project. So like I said, the limits begin at Canal and Hayes. There's a couple exceptions, just work that we've already previously done, and that's the M53 bridge. The bridge over the M53 where we put the sidewalk in just a few years ago in anticipation of this project as well. We also have a section that we gapped out east of Shaner to Saul, and that pavement's in relatively good condition for resurfacing projects that we've done recently. So the project reconstruction, the project is a reconstruction project. It includes 1.5 miles of path construction. underground infrastructure, which includes some sanitary sewer and water main. New traffic signals and safety improvements are the overall key scopes for the project. So the project is set up to perform the underground utility work first, which would be this fall. And the road work will begin in 2027. So the water main work includes replacing the aged cast iron water main from 19 Mile Road to Canal Road, and this will provide more reliability to the water system. It's the same main that we replaced, if residents remember, on 19 Mile Road when we did that section of the project from Clinton River Road to the east back in 2020. Additionally, a new water main will be installed east of Saul Road, and this will provide permanent water services to many homes that have been on a temporary system for years. So when these water mains are done, however, we'll have to put the roads under one-way southbound traffic. So we anticipate the contractor will start first on the northerly section. So from Canal Road 1053 will be one-way southbound beginning just after Labor Day. And then when we do the other sections of work as well, same thing will be placed under one-way traffic. These are the locations of the sanitary sewer work. These are either extensions where we're providing sanitary service for homes that were on septic, and they'll have the ability to tie into these systems now, and they're also replacing some dilapidated, collapsed mains that have been problematic for DPW to maintain. So phase one of the road work will start, like I said, in 2027. Phase one, we're going to do the ends first. So we're going to do the northerly end and the southerly end. In this work will be, I guess, spring 2027 construction. It'll be on the northerly end, we'll have HMA or hot mixed asphalt. It'll be essentially the same geometry as the road is now. We'll be putting some edge drain in to solve some drainage issues, and we'll be putting sidewalk in on the east side as well that will connect all the way up to Canal Road. On the southerly part, we will have same type of work. It'll be new asphalt roadway, new folded asphalt roadway, and some curb and gutter improvements to go along with the water and sanitary improvements in that area. This is just kind of gives you an idea of what the footprint will look like. Again, during this road work, one-way traffic will be maintained as well. Phase two of the project will occur in the summer of 27. So our goal is to start this project right after the school gets out at Henry Ford II High School. We want to complete as much of this work as possible within the summer months. We're going to construct the east side first so we can at least get that done. I do anticipate it'll go into the fall, and maybe with a little luck, we'll be able to finish it up before school starts. So this section of roadway will be a 3-lane. Well, first of all, like I say, it will contain a multi-use path. So the path is going to connect from the Edison corridor and the trail that we built that runs up the Edison corridor and goes through Edison Court. It'll tie into there. It'll go all the way up and tie into Donovan Park as well. There'll be many connections and pedestrian access points that go across to the neighborhoods on the east side of Canal Road. So we're looking to do a 3-lane section in this area. Right now it's kind of an accordion of a roadway. There's a lot of pavement is 4 lanes wide and a lot of it is 2 lanes wide. So we're going to make a uniform 3-lane pavement. So we'll be holding the curb alignment on the east side of the road. So when we shorten up the roadway, we'll be taken from the west side, and that'll give us room to put the path in on the west side. Like I said before, there'll be, I think we have 5 new pedestrian crossings. One of them shown here at Bentley, and then there's another one shown at Maywood. We'll also be doing signal modernizations. So at the Riverland, 19 Mile and Saul Road, we'll be putting these mast arm signals, and they'll be modernized with up-to-date push buttons for pedestrian access. And a new exciting improvement is we'll be putting a brand-new signal at Henry Ford II High School and align with Donovan Park realignment of the approach. So this will provide a much safer vehicular point of access to and from the school, but the also benefit is it will give us a controlled pedestrian access point in that part of the city as well. So, and I'd like to say Utica Community Schools has been great to deal with. Again, you know, we've been working with them for a couple of years on this project now. You've probably seen the construction that they have going on at the school. We've been working with them to coordinate this work and align our approaches and coordinate the traffic and what we're going to do to help the school function during traffic hours or during school hours. Couple more things. Some features we'd like to point out, we will have these rectangular rapid flashing beacons. We've probably seen them around the city. They will be installed at all the pedestrian access points, so help make the pedestrian crossings of Clinton River Road safer. In addition, with removing a lane of pavement, it'll make the pedestrian crossing a little bit shorter of distance than it was prior. And the construction of the 1.5 mile off-road trail connect to this trail right here that we constructed with Edison Court a few years ago. That's it for my presentation. I'd like to thank everyone in advance for the patience. It's going to be a transformative project. It's going to be a great project. There will be some headaches moving around. There'll be some headaches during construction. In the end, we're going to get a great project. And I would like to invite everyone out to, as city manager said, tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the community center across the street upstairs. 6 o'clock, we'll do a little presentation, and then we'll have a group of project engineers available to answer any questions that you might have for the project as a whole or specifically at your property. There are a lot of properties up front on the road. So that's all I have, and thank you for your time.
And Mayor, I'm not sure if you or the council has any questions, but this might be your chance.
I don't have any questions. Council, any? Mr. Myjack?
Question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair to our engineer. Mr. Bayshaw, I was not on council when this was approved, a few years ago. So this entirety project of 4.5 miles is all asphalt?
Correct. It'll be an asphalt pavement.
Right. So in a perfect world, if we had money is always a problem with road projects. Asphalt is a lot cheaper. So my question would be, how long would this how long would this asphalt road last for?
It's the same design life as if it was a concrete pavement, but the design life is 25 to 30 years. It's a full depth pavement.
Really, 25 to 30 years?
Yeah. So sometimes, I know asphalt, what we do with asphalt, we do an overlay once in a while, and those we put overlay on top of concrete. That doesn't last as long, but this is a full depth asphalt pavement.
Okay, because I'm thinking in the county, when they put asphalt on Mound Road, the little Band-Aid they had, that is a different project than this.
Correct.
That lasts 5 to 7 years, but this is longer lasting.
Correct.
Okay. And then question 2, you mentioned septics and sewer work. So are there a lot of septic systems or houses in this
There's
project?
not a lot, but there are some homes that do not have sewer available. So we'll be extending sanitary sewer, so it will be available for them to tie into in the future.
Okay. Would this include houses that directly are right next to this actual road? Because I've talked to residents off of Canal, and I believe the street name is Meringue, that area between Canal and M59. I've talked to residents who've had flooded basements there with, I'm sure you've heard about that in the past, and I'm just trying to think here out loud. How does that help residents like that out with this project, if any?
Yeah, the flooded basements that we get usually are not from our sanitary system, but from the storm system. A lot of times they're failed septic, or not septic, failed sump pumps, or something related to stormwater or something internal.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, council, anyone else? I do have one question. So the work that, I got the letter and I read through it, and I thought I saw that the southern and northern sections, there would be some closures in 2026 as well. So are there going to be road closures, or not, lane closures in 26 for the sanitary work, both in the northern and southern portion?
Correct, Mayor. So starting after Labor Day of this year, we'll be closing northbound Clinton River Road, north of 19 Mile Road. So if you're traveling north on Clinton River Road, come just after Labor Day, you'll be forced to turn right onto 19 Mile Road and detour. There'll be signs that detour you back north. You will be able to travel south, but that closure will enable us to get the water and sanitary work done.
I'm sure many people are interested too. What about the portion between Saul and Hayes?
Between Saul and Hayes, that will be one way
Everybody's
as well.
curious.
Millers.
That will be
Everybody wants to know.
one way southbound as well. I don't have the exact start time on that. We have our pre-construction meeting next week. I did get indication from the contractor, they're gonna start on the north end, but I don't know when they're gonna start on the south end.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Vanderpool, anything else?
Mayor, I have nothing else in my report, thank you.
Okay, then we will move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is a presentation of the Nice Neighbor Award. And for that, I'll hand it over to our Mayor Pro Tem, Liz Sarowski.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So the Nice Neighbor Award today is, the Nice Neighbor Program, first let me start with that, aims to recognize and express gratitude for the residents, homeowners, and businesses whose neighborly actions help strengthen our neighborhoods and enhance the quality of life in our community. So today, we are honoring one of our residents who says he's been here since 2008, and his name is Dominic Gennaro. And he is being nominated by his neighbor for his exceptional kindness, generosity, and service to those in his neighborhood. His neighbor has shared that since the neighbor moved into his home in April, Mr. Gennaro has repeatedly offered his time, his tools, his expertise to assist with property maintenance, including landscaping, sprinkler repairs, and always without expectation of any recognition or any repayment of any kind. Whether any neighbor is young or elderly, new to the neighborhood, or a longtime resident, Dominic is always willing to step forward and lend a helping hand. He is truly the person the entire block depends on, and his positive energy inspires everyone around him. And through his humility, compassion, and consistent willingness to serve others, Mr. Gennaro reflects the very best of the Sterling Heights community and is most deserving of this recognition. So let's give Dominic a quick hand. And Dominic, why don't you come meet me up here? Over here. Where are you going, sir? Thank you for being one of the very best in our city. You're welcome. And here's your right
I want to thank my neighbor, first of all, for even saying anything to me about, or I never even knew. I lived in Sterling Heights all these years, and I didn't know they had an award for this stuff, So
Being helpful.
I'm humble. I'm really, I appreciate this. I really do, even from all you guys, to have this. It means a lot, 'Cause, I think back, in 2004, my wife died and left me with 4 kids to raise. And it was real difficult, because I remember pulling up in a driveway, you look and think, what do I do now? You got the grass to cut, you got to do laundry, you got to cook food, and you got to, with school homework and all. And my kids were like 9 to 15 years old. And I thought, boy, would that be just nice if somebody to just cut my grass or something, That's what I thought, and I thought, well, that ain't gonna happen. So I turned into a work machine, because I was working for the road commission for Oakland County at that time. We'd work 16 hours some days and come home and do all that. And I'm blessed that, I got to retire from there, in 2020. So in 2020, when I see people need help, I want to help, because I know what that feeling is to come home and say, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. So I'm blessed that I can do that. I have the abilities to do it, and, now I got the time, I was really blessed to have the county, you know, with a pension and all that, so I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, so I appreciate this award, I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. Sarowski, we do have a suggested action.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Resolved to formally recognize Dominic Gennaro as a recipient of the Sterling Heights Nice Neighbor Award in acknowledgement of his exceptional neighborly service, generous spirit, and positive impact on the community.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you again to Dominic. What a nice story, and that to pay it back a little bit. And so thank you very much. That's what the best of us all should be like. So thank you. That's all I have.
Council, anyone else? No? Yes, Mr. Radke.
I guess I just wish we all had neighbors like you, because you're what makes Sterling Heights a great place to live. So thank you so much for your work.
Council, anyone else? Dominic, congratulations. So this award has been around for a very long time. For a few years, we just didn't award it very often. But I think we're making a push to recognize people. So even though the award has been around for a very long time, I think you are the first person to ever receive a framed version of the nice neighborhood. Normally we put it in this like little flimsy jacket, so you can have that distinction that you're the first to receive a framed award. So we expect you'll hang it on the wall somewhere very prominent for everybody to see. And we do appreciate what you do for your neighborhood, and it's people like you that make this the great community it is. So council, with no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. One more big round of applause for Dominic. Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda with the omission of item D. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on any item on tonight's consent agenda? Seeing none, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Zarco.
move to approve the consent agenda as amended. Support.
It's been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is a consideration item, and this is to consider confirmation of the city manager's appointment of Nicholas Mackey as the Finance and Budget Director for the city of Sterling Heights. We do have a presentation from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'm really excited to present this topic, and at least I hope everyone is excited as I am about it. We'll see how it goes. Anyhow, there is a vacancy, as council knows, in the Budget and Finance Director position due to a recent retirement, and that's Jennifer Varney. Over the last couple of months, Nick Mackey has been serving in the position on an interim basis. Mr. Mackey joined the city team in April of 2014 as city controller and was promoted to assistant finance and budget director in November of 2021. Throughout his tenure with the city, he has consistently demonstrated technical expertise, leadership ability, institutional knowledge, and a work ethic necessary to serve successfully in this director position. He's played a significant role in administering and overseeing the city's financial operations. As you know, we're a big organization, especially our financial side of the equation, and he's contributed to several major organizational initiatives. His qualifications and accomplishments include, but are not limited to, the following. I was going to cut this down until I found out Nick had invited his family, so I'm going to go through the full list. Providing executive oversight of financial services, and that includes treasury, utility billing, payroll, accounts payable, grants administration. You know, we've been hitting it out of the park on the grant side of our operations. Financial reporting, debt management, treasury functions, annual audit coordination, and I might remind everyone we have had impeccable audits over the years, and water and sewer billing. Mr. Mackey served on the Capital Committee in fiscal year 26 and now 27, reviewing capital expenditure requests totaling $25.2 million and $15 million respectively. He's led the citywide fiscal year 27 budget development process. Of course, Mayor and council is very involved in that process, and as you know, it's very arduous. It takes months to get through the budget process, and it's often somewhat painful. But he's worked well with our other department leadership, ensuring operating and capital priorities are aligned with the city's broader fiscal strategy. He's prepared and presented the fiscal year 26 final budget amendment, effectively translating financial and operational changes into actionable recommendations for executive leadership. He's led the implementation of monthly utility billing, and that was quite an endeavor, and also supporting the residential meter replacement program affecting almost 40,000 households. Water and sewer accounts resulting in improved water billing, efficiency, enhanced customer service. Now residents can look at their water usage, control it regularly. They get alerts if there's any anomalies based on averages, and that system has worked incredibly well thanks to Mr. Mackey's efforts. Developing, as I mentioned, the annual operating budgets for financial services, general expenditures, and our debt funds, which are thankfully very low. Directing implementation of our accounting system software, transitioning the city to integrated financial platform that reduce duplicative work, improve reporting, consistency, and increased operational efficiency. It sounds like a lot because it is a lot. Leading implementation of our new payroll system, telestaff timekeeping systems, strengthening internal controls, and reducing manual data entry. Mr. Mackey is a certified public accountant and holds a bachelor's degree of accountancy and a master's of business administration from Walsh College. He is also a member of the Michigan Government Finance Officers Association and currently serves on its legislative committee, which is really important because there's always state legislation that's affecting our city and others, and being at the table, effectuating change with our legislative team is incredibly important. Mayor and council, as you know, we've implemented a highly successful succession planning process over the years encompassing our entire leadership team, our managers, directors. We've been really diligent on this over a number of decades. A strong focus on succession planning ensures seamless transition among our leadership positions. And Mr. Mackey's been part of this process the last few years, and he's certainly ready to take on the responsibilities of this important leadership position. As you know, you all have a lot of interaction with this position, almost on a daily basis. I'm confident that Mr. Mackey will, to the extent possible, build on the city's very favorable financial position. As such, based on Mr. Mackey's experience, professional qualifications, and record of leadership and accomplishments, I respectfully recommend that the Mayor and City Council confirm the appointment of Nicholas Mackey as Finance and Budget Director effective August 19th, 2026. And I might add in closing, Mr. Mackey asked me this morning if he should address the City Council before the vote or after. And I thought it would be wise if he waited until after, because he may want to alter some of his comments. But he is ready to address the council, and Mayor respectfully requests your and the council's approval. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. I assume you'll wait until after, if that's your preference. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Kids, anything you want to say?
Now's your chance.
Council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Zarko.
resolve to confirm the city manager's appointment of Nicholas Mackey as Finance and Budget Director in accordance with the Charter of the City of Sterling Heights. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Just a few comments. Thank you, Mayor Taylor. It's actually been a pleasure to witness Mr. Mackey in his professional growth through the years here at the City of Sterling Heights. When we first met, I think you were married, but you didn't have any children. So it's like, now with that, I see your children and how much they've grown up. I realize what a length of time it's been. But you've always been very professional, We certainly knew that we could count on you, and if there was a phone call that we had to make or get a question answered, you certainly helped me many times with payroll, so I can attest to your expertise in that area. So I just want to congratulate you and your family, and I want to thank your family for sharing you with us, because we promised we're not going to call you at home because there's no reason to. So, but thank you. The only thing is, I can say, I was looking at your face when Mr. Vanderpool was talking about you, and you were so humble that you kept looking down because of all the kind things that he was saying and all the appropriate things that he was saying, so that for this appointment, and your humility, I think, is a big part of your personality, and the fact that you can say no nicely. So we want, all of our directors to know that he can still say no nicely, and we hope that you continue in your success here in the city. So welcome aboard in your new position.
Thank you, Ms. Sarko. Anyone else?
Mayor
Mrs.
Taylor, thank you. I would like to welcome you to your new position, Mr. Mackey. I think your even keel personality and your sense of calm helps us. Interesting, I was talking with your kids earlier and I said, does Dad always say no? Does he know how to say no? And they're like, no. I go, uh-oh. Well, he can say no here and he can continue to be the cool dad at home. But, I just think this is going to be an easy transition for everybody. You've been here long enough. You've been at various positions, and I can't think highly enough of you and your ethics and your integrity, and I look forward to working hand in hand with you and the council as well. I know you're going to keep the city in good shape, and you're going to say no. So welcome aboard, and thank you to your family as well. Nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So yes, I do want to echo the welcome to Mr. Mackey as soon as we vote. And, but getting to know Nick, and he's been here 12 years now, is that correct? So 12 years is a long time to really put in, and he's really proved his mettle, shown how smart he is, how full of knowledge he is, because we will ask you, as you know, Nick, interesting questions sometimes, and we'll call you, you'll be sitting in the audience, and we'll be like, excuse me, through the mayor to Mr. Mackey, who's sitting in the group there, you have to come talk to us. So it'll be an interesting and good ride, because we know that you've got a great handle on this job and the right personality for it, because being an accountant takes a lot of, you're dealing with some big numbers, and it takes a lot of stability and calm to take care of it. So I appreciate that, and I'm happy to have you aboard once we vote.
Thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mr. Radke.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to echo my colleagues' comments. I think Mr. Mackey's going to do a good job. If he doesn't, we'll get rid of him. But I think he's going to do a good job, and make sure that our budgets come out just as good as before. So I think you're going to have a long career here. Hopefully, we're going to not spend very much money, but it'll be great, and I'm sure you're going to do a great job. So congratulations. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else? Well, Nick, congratulations. We're very lucky to have you aboard. You've been on the team for a long time now. You've learned from some very, very impressive people who've had this job before you. And I've said this many, many times. I think the 7 of us are very lucky that we have such good directors, managers, and employees, really at every level. We're always impressed with the work that you guys do. We saw a couple presentations tonight from our library, but it's, they could have been the police department or the fire department. It could have been finance and budget. We're just blessed to have really strong people at every level of our city. It's hard to find a more important job other than the city manager's job than what you're going to be walking into. We have full confidence in you guys, and you and your team to continue the record of success we've had with our financial audits, with our budgeting process. And I'll be the one that says, you don't always have to say no. There's a lot of great things going on in this community. And I think what we've shown is that we're able to do it. I can't tell you how many peers in, mayors and council members from other cities that have said, how do you get these millages through? How do you build all of these parks? How do you do all of this? And it's because we rely on very strong people in our finance and budget department. So you're going to be given a lot of support, and we're, like my colleague said, we're very blessed to have you. The only question I have is who does the budget at the House?
That's a good question.
Okay, well, he does a very good job here. So we're very blessed to have you, Nick. Congratulations. You've been a part of this team for a long time, and we have nothing but confidence that you'll be able to continue to grow and continue the legacy that we've had with some very strong finance and budget directors, certainly during my 16 or 17 years on the council. So, council, with no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Nick. Come on up.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and members of council, for your confidence and support, and all the very nice comments. It means so much to me. I'm very honored and humbled by the opportunity to serve the city of Sterling Heights in this role. I want to thank God for the opportunities I've had and the path that's led me to public service. There's few more meaningful ways to make an impact in your community than public service. I'd also like to thank my beautiful wife, Corey, and my, I didn't think I was gonna do that till I looked over.
You're good, you're good.
And my beautiful kids, Maya, Luke, and Lila, for their encouragement and support every day. I'm grateful to the city manager and council for their leadership and vision. Sterling Heights is an exceptional community, and it's in large part because of your relentless commitment to improvement, your willingness to stay ahead of emerging trends, and your focus on policies shaped by the priorities of our residents. I also want to recognize my peers and colleagues throughout the city who continue to demonstrate professionalism and diligence at the highest levels. I'm especially thankful to the mentors and others who've invested their time and guidance and trust in me throughout my career. Sterling Heights has a strong tradition of thoughtful stewardship, long-range planning, transparency, and sound financial management. That tradition is reflected in our budget, our financial reporting awards, our excellent bond rating, our continued support and trust of the voters. I'm proud of the finance team and the partnership we have with every city department and maintaining that standard. I look forward to continuing to support council's priorities, safeguarding the city's resources, helping ensure Sterling Heights remains financially strong and well-positioned to serve our residents today and in the future. So thank you again.
Thank you, Nick. Congratulations. All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is to consider approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Sterling Heights and Local 1557 of the International Association of Firefighters. We do have a presentation from our acting fire chief, Michael Amormino. Chief Amormino.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Mr. Vanderpool. So I'm here tonight to talk about a very exciting program that it's been many years in the making. So our quick response vehicle program. So this came out of our standards of cover study that we had done, and it's very exciting for the fire department, and it's kind of shaping some new things. So we've been under this, for the last couple of years, we've been reshaping and redefining what the Sterling Heights Fire Department is. So we really owe it to our firefighters and our community to be better tomorrow than we were today, and I love that quote, because every day we're trying to get a little bit better at what we do. So to do that, we got to form partnerships. So to make any kind of progress, you have to make partnerships with people around you. So we have great partners with City Council, City Administration, the community stakeholders, and then, of course, the labor group. So we created this roadmap. We started with our strategic plan. With the strategic plan, we've been able to identify risk, set goals, and plan for the future. After that, we had our risk assessment and standards of cover done, which really identified community risk. It analyzes coverage gaps that we have as a fire department, and then prioritize improvements and to build a stronger fire department for the city. So some of the progress that we've made over the last couple of years, one important step, and we've talked about it before, was fixing and upgrading dispatch. And we did that through a partnership with Comtech through Macomb County. So with that upgrade, we've been able to implement priority dispatching and also proximity dispatching, which has been huge upgrades with the fire department over the last year. Also, we've added positions to shore up fire administration. So with that, we added a assistant chief of operations, mobile integrated health officer position, community risk reduction officer, and we have a social worker case manager within the fire department, which has really helped out. Also with that, we've added positions within the fire department operations. So we've added 9 firefighters through a SAFER grant, which was a federal grant. We've added 2 peak demand units that are there Tuesday through Friday. Those are BLS ambulances. They're there 10 hours a day, 40 hours a week. And then with this that we're talking about tonight, we're going to increase daily staffing from 29 to 30 and implement a quick response vehicle within our fleet and within our program. So the QRV is really a piece of that puzzle that just with all the other things we've been adding just adds to our system as overall. So you can see kind of this is one example of our old way of how we used to do things to our new way. So our old way of dispatch, we had 2 systems, which was emergency or non-emergency. And what that would often cause was sending the wrong resource to the wrong run. Many times we would send too much or too little to a run, and that was simply based on technology and just the information we got from dispatch. On the right, you can see how things are done now. So you see the 5 colors. So all the way 1 through 5. Starting with blue, which is the highest acuity, all the way down to green, which is the lowest acuity. Within those, we send different resources to those calls, all the way from ALS fire engine and an ALS ambulance, all the way down to just sending a BLS ambulance for a non-life threat or a lower acuity run. So everyone's asking, what is a quick response vehicle? A quick response vehicle, it's a smaller, faster, basically heavy-duty pickup truck that has a pump on it, and it has a place to carry equipment. It's literally a smaller fire truck. It's there to carry firefighters, medical equipment, specialized rescue tools. It has a small pump on it that's used to put out small outdoor fires. And it's designed to improve response times and send the right resource to the right call. So what does it carry? It carries 2 firefighter paramedics on there. They have 2 air packs. They have their gear. There's equipment on there to handle extrications with car accidents. Firefighting hand tools, water rescue gear, and then, again, it has a 250-gallon pump on it with a small nozzle. So some of our goals with this program, once we start it, again, I'm going to say this over and over, sending the right resource to the right incident. It's being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. Another main goal is reducing the wear and tear of our heavy fire apparatus. Keeping that new $2.1 million ladder truck that we got off a State of Michigan grant. You can see a picture on the right. It was ordered. It's going to be delivered next fall. So keeping that truck available for higher acuity, higher priority incidents. Increase the operational readiness through improved staffing, and this just overall creates a improved service for the fire department. So proposed operation out of Station 1. This is where this vehicle is going to be housed. This increases, we currently have a daily staffing of 29. This will increase it to 30. This comes out of our standards of cover operation study that we had done. So if we get a structure fire and everyone's in quarters, all 4 people will respond on the ladder truck together. And they operate as a 4-person company. For medical response out of Station 1, they will split up and send 2 firefighters on that QRV, leave 2 firefighters available on that ladder truck so that truck stays in service for a higher acuity incident. If a fire occurs while the QRV is committed to another call, what they do is they'll respond separately and meet up at the fire to form a 4-person company. So what that does for us is one of the greatest benefits of this is it adds an additional ALS functioning apparatus to our fleet that's in service. But it also keeps that ladder truck available for a fire, and that's what it's there for. So our core purpose, again, is to match the right resource to the right call. And what this QRV does is it really supports the system. And that's what it's about. It creates faster response times, it preserves apparatus, it reduces cost because it's a cheaper vehicle than heavy fire apparatus. It improves coverage and allows flexibility. It adds additional resource to Station 1 when everybody else is out. And another thing we'll do is support community risk reduction efforts. This is a proposed staffing out of Station 1. You see 2 people on a ALS ambulance out of Station 1, 3 firefighter paramedics on Engine 1, 2 firefighters on the ladder truck, 2 firefighters on the QRV vehicle. Tuesday through Friday, 2 firefighters on each of the BLS ambulances for the lower acuity medical calls during peak demand times. And then the battalion chief is out of that station. So some of the call types that they're going to be handling medical emergencies, lift assist, smoke alarm activations where they have to go through and get the report, where we would normally send a bigger, larger fire truck, smoke detector installations, downed electrical wires where they can do some standby, medical alarm activations, small fires outside, including trash, grass, or mulch, and then public education and community service. So far our timeline, this is what's been done up until this point. The QRV concept was adopted from our Standards of Cover report. It's been a couple years in the making. We secured a SAFER grant, which we hired 9 firefighter paramedics off of, which they're currently working. We developed response plans and tested them. We did vehicle specs and ordered that vehicle, and that vehicle should be here November this year. We've been testing ongoing. We've been testing the QRV concept within our current model. So when we have the staffing, we put this model into effect. And then upcoming, so we'll take the delivery this December, November, December this year. It usually takes a month or 2 to get that vehicle in the service once it's outfitted. And then the program's going to launch February 1st. And the reason is the delay. We have 11 firefighters currently in paramedic school. So we didn't want to make too much of a strain on the system. So once they get out of school, this program will be ready to go. And then we're going to do performance measure reviews quarterly to make sure, because with any new program, you got to adapt and change some things. So we're very excited about this. Again, I'd like to thank you for your guys' partnership with this. I think it's really going to help the system as a whole.
Very good. Thank you, Chief Amormino. If we have questions, we will call you up during deliberations. By this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item. If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Resolve to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Sterling Heights and Local 1557 of the International Association of Firefighters to establish personnel staffing for the new quick response vehicle and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Schmidt?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Just a couple of things. Chief Amormino, if I could have you come back up.
Yeah, don't go far.
I won't go too far.
So the crew on this vehicle, will they be a regular 24-hour position or much like the peak?
No, they're a 24-hour operation,
Okay.
the staffing.
Just a comment. I'm really glad to see this come to fruition. For years, a pet peeve has been when an engine has gone to a local nursing home for a fall lift assist. And I really think that this is going to benefit our community, not only in the availability of more personnel, but in saving those apparatuses that are oh so expensive. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see, once again, we all thought outside of the box a little bit on this, and everybody came to the table, and I'm really pleased to see this come to fruition. So thank you for all your work, and I look forward to its much success.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, I'm very excited about this. One thing you didn't add in your report, but I think is essential, is the QRV is safer to drive and much lighter on our roads. You know, driving a large fire apparatus through residential neighborhoods is not good for the apparatus and the local roads. And on top of that, it can often be hard to turn around or park because of its size. So this, I think, gives us one more ability. I'm hopeful that this is going to be very successful. I'm sure it will be. I'm hopeful we can expand this to our other apparatuses, because we have to replace all of them on a rotating schedule, and if we can extend their life even a little bit, we are saving the people of our city millions of dollars. That's why I supported this program in the beginning. That's why I support apparatus reform right now, because I believe last year we had less than 200 fires, structure fires in Sterling Heights. Most of our care that we give from the fire department is medical-based. I think that this is another tool in our toolbox to enable a faster and better medical response while doing it in a very efficient way, especially from the monetary standpoint. So I'm happy to support this. I think it's going to be very successful, and I look forward to hopefully buying a few more. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? Mrs. Sarowski.
Yep, thank you, Mayor Taylor. So also to the chief, I want to thank you, but I also want to thank because we're approving the memo of understanding, which is through the union. So thank you to the union members for actually working together and approving this. I know that change is hard, and the way that we do things is being changed a little bit. As a nurse, I really, really appreciate the change in triaging the patients, so that it's not just a life-threatening emergency or you're okay, because there's a whole lot of in between there. And this gives us the opportunity to at least get somebody there right away. Somebody might be having chest pain and they decide that, they're showing their EKG shows great. They don't want to go to the hospital. There's no reason to send them, but you want to send somebody immediately, but there's not necessarily a reason to send them to the hospital or have the big ambulance or the big rig ladder truck there in order to determine that. So I just think that I'd like to have more of these than just the one. I think we need to have more than one eventually, and that will probably come to fruition. I really do support this, and I really support using the best dollars for the best care, and that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else? Not. Thank you, Chief Amormino, for the presentation and helpful information. Council, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is item D from the consent agenda, and this is to approve a real estate purchase agreement for real property commonly known as 37328 and 37356 Utica Road, and an asset purchase agreement between the City of Sterling Heights as purchaser and JER Enterprises LLC and Outdoor Escorts LLC as sellers for a cumulative purchase price of $1,085,000. Looks like we have a presentation from our Parks and Rec Director, Kyle Langlois. Mr. Langlois.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Taylor, members of council all gathered here tonight. I can honestly say this is a long time coming, as many of us in the room know, and it's exciting to be up here today to bring this acquisition to fruition, which ultimately helps kickstart the next phase of park development at Rotary Park. So just taking you back a little bit to set the stage, 2022 is when we first started talking about acquiring this property. So going through a number of iterations, which included having public hearings, we set forth with putting in a application for a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant in the 2023 grant cycle, which was due April of 2023. For those who have been following along with grant applications through the Parks and Recreation Department and the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, you will know that it takes forever to go through that process. And we had to wait for that to happen before we could even start the next phase, which was truly negotiating on this property. And so it took really multiple years for the state legislature to approve the grant the grant awardees and here we are now kind of bringing it forth. 2024, as we all know, the Pathway to Play and Preservation millage was approved by our residents, which we're grateful for. And this property really was the centerpiece to the reimagination of Rotary Park. If the team downstairs can pull it up, I do have the conceptual plan pulled up on the laptop monitor in the box there. Nope, not that one. So, but if you have questions, happy to answer those as well. But it really is the centerpiece to what will be the new Rotary Park. The property that we're talking about is Clinton River Canoe and Kayaks property. Again, we needed that to be able to bring a livery, a full-scale livery, to our residents of Sterling Heights. That property is perfectly situated really at the southeastern section of our city and has great real estate right along the Clinton River. So we do have a paddle dock there, a universally accessible paddle dock, which is on park property, but the canoe and kayak property that's currently in place really is in a great position to utilize the river as it stands. What's great about this kind of 4 acres of property that we're looking at is that when you add it to what we already own, both with Rotary Park, with some of the parcels that we've recently acquired, and with parcels that we already have across the Utica Road as well, this will, when added to our inventory, will be about 60 acres of contiguous space that we have, green space, park space, that's really locked up for outdoor public use along the way. It's a pretty impressive stretch of property in a city like Sterling Heights that's very built out. What's also great, and I know there's a continued desire for, park property and green space to be really preserved forevermore as outdoor property. One of the pieces of a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund grant is the fact that that land is truly preserved in perpetuity for outdoor recreation forevermore. So by signing on to this grant agreement that we will get for this property to help offset this cost, we are also saying that we're committing this property for outdoor recreation forevermore. As you see on the screen, and thank you to the group effort for bringing that up for me, but we have really what was the most recent conceptual plan that was brought forth. This was shown at our budget hearing earlier this year as well. But you can see what is phase 1 of Rotary Park, which shows kind of a reimagination of that center area. This project will ultimately involve taking everything that's there and basically bringing it to the ground and starting fresh and rebuilding. So that'll be a parking lot. It'll include a pavilion space that'll be the hub for reserving or renting the canoes and kayaks, as well as pavilion space, restrooms. There'll be accessible restrooms, which will include a adult changing table in there as well for those who want to utilize. We know that having a universally accessible dock recreation needs to be available for everyone. And so having the proper spaces and amenities to go along with it is important to us. In the middle of the park, you'll notice that there's a basketball court. There's also another pavilion there. That's part of that development. And then to the far end, which is the eastern part of the property, that is the existing playground, which will stay in its current place, as well as the parking lot that's there too. As you go kind of further to the north, you'll see that there's a pathway that leads to ultimately our plaza, which will take you to historic Belvedere Park. So that'll be our path system. There will be a little bit of boardwalk, but mostly path. That's going back to the site of the ruins of Belvedere Park, which is a fascinating piece of history in our city. As we all know, the library has already received a designation for that site to be a Michigan Historical Landmark designation, so we're just waiting on really this construction to take place to be able to put that in and kind of finalize the project. So again, we're excited to bring this this agreement to the table for council's consideration. Just as a reminder, this is the purchase of the land, but also the assets and the business interest of the Clinton River Canoe and Kayak operation. So it's more than just purchasing the land, it's purchasing all the assets that go along with it. And looking forward to bringing really an exciting project that many people have been waiting for a long time to fruition. So as we expect, we're going through design phase right now. Getting these last parcels of property under our ownership does provide us that opportunity to go through the true design and engineering on those parcels of property. We expect that we'll be out to bid over the wintertime with construction starting in spring of 2027. It will be a pretty full year of construction, so we're looking at spring of 2028 for an official opening. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that council might have.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Langlois. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Yep.
Hello, my name is Sarah Fisher. I'm an employee at EGLE, the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. So I work on the leaking underground storage tank program, and I happen to know a lot about this program, but I'm actually just here as a resident who happens to know a lot about the leaking underground storage tank program, just to be clear with my employment contract there. So I looked up 37328 on the public-facing ride mapper, which actually shows you areas of contamination. And it turns out that there's an open underground storage tank release at 37328 Utica Road, which is fine. I'm a big proponent of redeveloping contaminated property safely and appropriately. But I just wanted to make sure that the city of Sterling Heights does what's called a baseline environmental assessment, often called a BEA. It's a report that gives liability protection to the owner or operator who's submitting the baseline environmental assessment. And if the city of Sterling Heights buys this property and they don't do a BEA, they'll become a liable party for the contamination that's at 37328 Utica Road, including all the reporting obligations for that open confirmed release on the property. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I tell all my friends and family to do baseline environmental assessments if they're going to buy a property, because you never know what's underground. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and ask if the city did a BEA either prior to purchasing the property or within 45 days is the rule. And then you have to submit that report to EGLE within 6 months. But you have to do the sampling within 45 days of buying the property to get that liability protection. So that was all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolve to approve the real estate purchase agreement for real property commonly known as 37328 and 37356 Utica Road, and the asset purchase agreement between the City of Sterling Heights and JER Enterprises LLC and Outdoor Escorts LLC respectively, and authorize the city manager or his designee to sign as applicable the agreements and closing documents required in conjunction with this approval.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Yes, briefly, Mr. Mayor. I asked for this to be pulled. This is just a great example of what the money that was given to us by Pathway to Play and Preservation is for. Anyone who's ever been to the original Rotary Park knows it as a postage stamp kind of on the corner of Utica and Hayes. We are now going to create a 60-acre park that we are going to connect to our other parks through pathways, including a bike-only pathway. And that's going to be a tremendous recreational opportunity, especially on the eastern part of our city where when I was first elected, there were not that many parks or large spaces. This is because the residents gave us the money. That's the only reason we're able to do this. So I wanted to pull this to thank the residents and also show what can be done when we all work together to make Sterling Heights a better place to live, recreate, and get around. I'll also add this is going to continue the sidewalk gap completion both on Hayes Road and on Utica to have a continuous pathway to the park, a safe way for kids to get to the park, and their parents too, they have to go to. But this is great. I guess through the chair to Mr. Langlois, I did not know about the BEA. I hope we're going to do this, and if not, we're going to do it now. I'm curious.
Mr. Langlois.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the diligence there. We have, as part of a natural resources trust fund process, we have to go through those environmental, steps and paces. So to this point, we've done a phase 1 and a BEA because we were aware of what was underground. A phase 2 will come down the line as we get into the more formal engineering and design process. That's going to be important for ultimately how we construct the space.
I guess I'm curious, what is the contaminant that they believe is underground there? Is it a former fuel tank?
Just
or-
known, it was a service site, for vehicles, so just the expectation, of, soils not being great based on the plugs that they found. I don't have the exact report in front of me, so I don't want to speak out of turn on that, but we worked with testing engineers and consultants, has done a lot of work on behalf of the city to protect us. We also want to make sure that we protected this investment, but that was a requirement going through the process to even be able to get to this point and get the ability to move forward with the closing.
I see no problem with it. Much of our parkland is land that is either floods, it is not always accessible, or it's been reclaimed. We have Baumgartner Park on a former landfill here in Sterling Heights, and it's a place people recreate every day as long as it's safe. And I'm sure we're gonna do everything in our power to make the site safe. This is gonna be a tremendous investment. A new kayak livery, a brand-new park, brand-new places to play. I'm over the moon excited to get this going. This is our second brand-new park in Sterling Heights. I mean, I say brand-new because Rotary Park was so small I could walk across it very quickly. So I'm very excited for this, and I can't wait to approve it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else on this? Ms. Sarowski.
Thank you very much, Mayor Taylor Stater. So I do have a question through the chair to Mr. Langley. So the canoe and kayak livery service that's there right now has transportation. What is our plan for continuing transportation so that people can drop off their cars or their canoes or get their cars? How are we going to do that?
Appreciate the question. I think we're a little ahead of what we ultimately plan to do with that site. There's a couple different models, which I believe we may have talked about before, but we may not have officially. We have two options. We can either run a canoe and kayak livery ourselves internally, or we can contract those services out to an entity that's more, potentially more suited to run a canoe and kayak service. Our goal would be to take what's there and really expand on it. I think there's a lot of options and really a lot of opportunity that, exists, whether it's people and residents or patrons that have their own boats, whether canoe and kayak, to be able to get them to northern part of the city or even further, and then, provide them transportation back and forth as needed. I think this also opens the door as we kind of create a central hub here in Macomb County to really expand offerings if we were to bring in a vendor that can provide really a better service across all the communities that are on the Clinton River, right? And those are conversations that have started at a very basic level with the county, with those like Clinton Township, Utica, Shelby Township. There's a lot of stakeholders along the river. And so finding the best way to leverage the river is something that, is important to us, but also finding the best way to manage that space is something the Parks and Recreation Department will really start going through now that we are moving to that next step.
Okay, so to be determined, but
TBD, but
it is going to be something.
ultimately, any arrangement will include being able to transport residents and patrons from our site at the south end to the north end, up to North Clinton River Park, whether it's us doing it or whether it's a contractor. That would be part of our arrangement that we would have in place.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Langlois. That's all I think I'm going to have for you for right now. So what I did see and what I really did like was that, because I'm a kayaker, and it had the drop-off, a little circle drop-off. Right now, if you're a kayaker and you want to take part and take use of this service in the docking area, you have to park your car at Rotary Park and haul your kayak by yourself. And it's not a short distance, and you might be going on, you could, maybe get it on the dirt a little bit and make sure that it's a little less damaging to your kayak, or you're going along a concrete path. So this is a great amenity for that part of it. And it also, of course, because of our otherly abled residents, this gives them an opportunity to get there very safely and easily. So I'm very happy about that. The other thing that I really like in developing this park is something that I've mentioned a couple times maybe, but my grandparents used to, in the 30s, used to come down, because my grandparents were very old, and I'm old too. They would come down to Belvedere Park, or come up to Belvedere Park from Detroit, because they were Detroit residents. And my dad's mom and dad got engaged at Dodge Park. I had a picture, I can't find it now, of course, but I had a picture of my grandma sitting on a rock saying Dodge Park. And I thought, where the heck is that when I first grew up, and now I know. So it's kind of near and dear to my heart that we're developing this property a little bit more and using it, and having the historical designation makes a big difference as well. I know there's other residents that have personal ties to it, so I'm just very happy to see that we're making this amenity available to all the residents and anyone else who wants to take part. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Through the chair to Mr. Langless. So in the past, Clinton River Canoe and Kayak, we had an agreement with them that they would clear the river. So what is our plan for that? We have to take that over, Clinton River watershed? What's our plan?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a multi-faceted approach to that. The expectation is, a clear river is really important to the livelihood of a canoe and kayak operation on the river, right? And so I think, for the short term, we still have options. That's a separate contract to be able to continue to work with Jerry and Outdoor Escorts. He's pledged his willingness to continue doing that for a period of time, and then we'll see where, that best lies. We work with the county. The council has approved already an agreement with the county for us to have a match program for woody debris, larger woody debris removal. But we'll still need a level of just kind of keeping clear, doing some regular trash haul outs of things that come up from the sediment in the river or might float down from the north. So that might be a separate contract. It might be with a vendor. If we do go the route of contracting the services out, it would certainly be in their best interest to continue to keep the river clear as it's being done right now. So it's going to be a major component of just operating on the Clinton River moving forward. So.
Great. Well, I'm glad to hear that he's willing to stay on for the short term at least, because it is very important as a kayaker myself. You can't get through if the logs are blocking things up. I am stoked about this. This is really an exciting project, and I can't wait for it to be done. And I have nothing further, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Through the chair to Mr. Langley. I guess my question is about the Belvedere Park ball, I think it was a ballroom at the time. Are we, through the chair, are we actually just doing the historical marker there? Because we're not touching anything in that area. We're just showing it as what was there during Prohibition. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you're correct. We're not renovating the old casino, dance hall.
Tractor pull.
Concession stand. There are a lot of different features of it. But what our goal is to really pay homage to what it was at a time. And so having the historical marker, will also be developing with the library and the historical commission some interpretive signage and educational signage that as people walk up to the site, they'll be able to understand really what they're looking at and what was there. So we're going to use that as an opportunity to teach and educate about the history of Sterling Heights while they're getting a little exercise walking out to the site and back.
I think that's a good idea, but if we're going to the historical part of it, you might think that, well, how did people get there? And actually, Utica Road at one time was a missionary route that went from Sacred Heart Church in Roseville to St. Lawrence in Utica. And I think at some point, I have never seen any kind of markers that designates that as originally being a missionary trail and how this whole area became populated. So I think that we should do some research on it, and as long as we're doing an historic plaque for Belvedere, that in some areas, we do the same research for Utica Road. So I think that is it. Nothing further, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Anything, Mr. Myjack? Thank you, Kyle, for the presentation. Appreciate it. A great project. Another really important new amenity that's being brought to the city, and this is a great little park, and it's going to be expanded and made even better. So appreciate your work on this. And council, with no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Lots of applause today, and well-deserved, well-deserved. Thank you, Ray. Okay, so we are going to move on to communications from citizens right now. And I see a number of people here who I haven't seen before, which is great. It's great to see a big crowd tonight. By show of hands, if you don't mind, how many here are intending on speaking on the flock cameras? Okay, quite a few. So now, if you don't mind also, is there anyone who's here to speak on anything other than flock cameras? Okay, I'm going to take those 2 or 3 first, if you guys don't mind, okay, because we certainly have a number of people who are going to speak on flock, and you'll all have an opportunity to speak. If you're not familiar with our council rules, you will have 4 minutes. When you come up to the podium, the light will be green for 3 minutes, yellow for 1 minute, and then it'll turn red. I just ask you to be respectful. We do have a number of speakers tonight, so if you're going well beyond, I mean, I'll let you take a few seconds to wrap up your comments, but please be respectful of that. Another thing is, look, it's your 4 minutes. You can use them how you choose to use them. But speaking on behalf of the council, we find it most effective if you're going to come up to speak on something that hasn't been mentioned before. I mean, certainly you can reiterate things that other people have said, and, you know, we can't really, I don't expect that 30 or so people are going to be able to have completely different comments each time, but it is helpful to us if it's not just repeating the same things that we've heard before. Couple other things. I anticipate there will be applause after people speak, which is fine. There's been a lot of applause here today. I just ask that you, if you can, just limit it. I personally think that when there's a somewhat controversial issue, I don't expect many people to come up and speak in favor of flock cameras tonight, but there might be, and it can be intimidating when the audience is all very supportive of one side and booing and hissing at the other side. So try to keep that professional. I have no doubt that everyone will. We've had a couple of meetings with flock people coming and providing their concerns, and it's been very respectful, and so I anticipate it will be today. All right, now that long preamble, one other thing. You will, I think, find that while you're addressing the city council is engaged, listening to what you're saying, taking notes, and they're not yelling at you. And so we would just ask the same courtesy if the city council members make comments during our portion of the meeting, that you extend the same courtesy to us that we extend to you. All right, with that being said.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Another thing, if it's possible, you know what, if people could identify themselves by even first name and the city that they're coming from, because it's almost like getting an anonymous letter. You don't know who you're responding to if you don't have some kind of connection with that person. So if we could do that, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Okay, we'll take the 2 or 3, start with Ms. Fisher, who are not going to be speaking on flock. And hey, if you want to talk about flock, so be it, but.
It didn't go down.
It's empty.
Hello, my name is Sarah Fisher, and I'm a resident of Sterling Heights. And I'd like to thank City Council for coming out to the ribbon cutting today that we had for our new food scrap collection program. It's something I've been championing for a long time, and I'm so excited that we now have food scrap containers for residents to bring their organic materials to be composted. And I just wanted to let people at home know that they can drop off their food scraps at the Upton House. There's these green, they look like trash containers, but they're bright green. They're at the Upton House, and they're also at James C. Nelson Community Garden. So you can bring your food scraps there and drop them off to be composted. If it grows, it goes. So anything like meat, bones, vegetables, dairy, cheese, fruit, grease even paper towel, as long as it doesn't have like chemicals on it. If it grows, it goes in the bin, and you can help make a difference. Composting is really important because food scraps, when they're sent to a landfill, there's no oxygen being added. And so those food scraps break down anaerobically, producing methane, which is a powerful greenhouse gas. Those same food scraps, when they break down in a compost pile, you're able to add oxygen into that mix, and it produces carbon dioxide, which is a far less powerful greenhouse gas. So if we want to meet our climate action goals, we really need to be composting and reducing our methane emissions and instead producing carbon dioxide. And it's really great that the City of Sterling Heights has funded 1 year of this pilot program. And so I encourage all residents to collect your food scraps and bring them to these food scrap containers to be composted. In fact, if you go on the city website, tomorrow there will be a link where you can sign up for a free composting starter kit. I've upcycled a bunch of buckets and painted them and added compostable liners. So they'll be available for free for residents. If you don't already have a bucket to put your food scraps in, you can get one for free from the city starting tomorrow. So that is an example right here. This one is a cat litter bucket that has been spray painted. So far, the city hasn't purchased any buckets. We've just been upcycling them at this point, and that's been pretty successful. So that was all I had to say. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Fisher. Remember, there might be people who are against composting. Okay, Mr. McKitty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Yeah, I rise today because I'm a father of a son named Michael that has problems with the street in front of his house. He lives at 40834 Brightside at Court. And for 5 years, he's been trying to get the end of his driveway fixed in the street. And for 5 years, he's been told it'll be next year. It's not in the budget this year. So they fixed a street close to him. They fixed some sidewalks around him in the same street. But they told him his sidewalk and his street will have to wait another year, and another year. So if you guys could address that, again, Michael McKitty, 40834 Brightside Court in Sterling Heights. So, and by the way, I live in Sterling Heights, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I love to kayak, so thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Mr. McKitty. Who else? There was one other, yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Susan, and I'm a 35-year resident of Sterling Heights. My problem is minor, or it's not my problem, it's a city problem. I know that we have music on Thursday night, and it fills up all the parking lots in the area. When you go to the library, even though when the library is open, it's not accessible because the parking lot is full of cars for the concert. So can we please either designate a line of parking that says library only, or if we close the library on Thursday at 4 or 5 o'clock and move those hours into Friday morning, because the library opens at 1 o'clock on Friday, that might be a solution. I'm glad we opened tonight with library matters, because the library is one of my favorite places in the city. We have a great library. I love it. But let's make it accessible on Thursday night, because there are other things going on besides the concert, and they monopolize everything, including the farmer's market that you can't get to, because all the parking is taken for the concert. If you want to go buy food, you can't. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, I'll start with everybody else, and just to keep it organized for myself, I'm going to start on my right, okay, and then I'll move to the center portion and then move to the left portion. And if I call the right and then we move on to the middle, if you still want to talk and you're on the right, just raise your hand. So is there anybody on my right, the left side of the audience, that would like to speak under communications from citizens? Yes, sir?
I'm a Roseville resident, but like so many people, I got married at Dodge Park across the street. Actually, during the great blackout of 2003, I'm sure.
Best time to get married.
Y'all remember that. We couldn't get married anywhere else, and it was a lovely spot. I'm a former minister. I'm an Army veteran. I was a Russian linguist. I hold a master's degree in science and technology intelligence from the National Intelligence University over in Bethesda. I know a thing or two about surveillance, about privacy, and today I work in cybersecurity, so I know a thing or two about that. And my message for the council today is pretty simple. Don't trust the sales reps. Don't trust the sales reps. Let me ask you a question. Let's say that you're in the market for a used car. Who are you going to trust? The used car salesman or your buddy Bob the mechanic? I know who I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust my buddy Bob the mechanic, right? Sales reps tell us that Facebook and TikTok are safe for kids. But we know that there's all sorts of problems with reading and attention and depression. Sales reps tell our doctors that opioids are safe for patients. We still can't hold the Sackler family accountable. Trust the subject matter experts who are taking times out of their day. We could be across the street at the park, it's a lovely day. But we're here to implore you to look deeply into this, to pay attention to what the cybersecurity and privacy experts and citizens all across the country are telling you. Other folks are going to tell you about all the issues with Flock. The only other thing I have to say is, if you're here concerning Flock and you're not otherwise active in your community, please get active. Doesn't matter if it's a church, doesn't really matter what kind of organization it is. You know, our council people need to hear from us. They need to see that we're active in our communities. And if we're not, they're only going to hear from sales reps and consultants, right? So if you want to get involved, come talk to me afterwards. I'll plug you in an organization, even if it's not one I'd personally join. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Anyone else on my right side? Yep.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Schlitt. I'm actually a resident of Ypsilanti, but born and raised in Sterling Heights, 14 in Ryan. My dad just had to leave a little early, so I'll speak for him as well. I'm sure there's plenty of people who will come after me who will say the same things. I will emphasize, don't trust the sales reps, but also, I grew up in Sterling Heights. I had a great childhood up here, great upbringing. I'm sure my mom would love me to move back closer home. But I drove an hour to get here because I don't want to worry about mass surveillance when I'm coming home to visit my family. I don't want to be tracked throughout the state. And I don't think this is how my parents' tax dollars should go to this type of thing, to be honest with you. This is a safe community. This type of thing does not make folks safer, and I think we know that and we've seen that. So they'll sell you really great pitches. But at the end of the day, it's a community that keeps people safe, and I think folks turning out here are all willing to do that. I think that's a better way to go. So that's all. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else on my right side? Now I'll move to the center portion. Anyone from the center portion? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, hello. My name is Christy Thomas. I've lived in Sterling Heights for 33 of my 37 years. My parents moved here when I was 3, and I'm choosing to raise my children here as well. When I moved here on my 3rd birthday, there was an actual farm in the field at 19 and Saul Road. So I grew up, I've seen the city change. I've seen it grow. I've seen how much you guys all love the city, and you love the citizens in it, and you want to improve it. I've watched the city invest in it, in its citizens, like with the neighborhood tree project, where there is now a tree on every house in my neighborhood, and with the community center. The items on the agenda tonight, from the library to the fire department to the kayaking and park renovations, reminded me of how wonderful our city is and how many people care about it and its residents. And that's why I'm urging you not to renew the Flock contract when it comes up. The system, it is unreliable. Independent police audits show that the Flock error rate is up to 71%, and an LAPD audit found an over 30% false positive rate on stolen vehicle alerts. The cameras misread the state on license plates roughly 10% of the time, and our city deserves better than that. We don't have to look far to see what can happen when the system makes a mistake. Right down the road in Detroit, a false positive led police to handcuff a mother, Aya Soak Robinson, outside her home and put her 2-year-old son in the back of a police cruiser, all over a false positive. In other states, Flock errors have caused parents to be handcuffed at gunpoint while a 6-week-old baby sat in the back seat, and kids as young as 6 have been forced face down onto the pavement. Continuing to use an error-prone AI system puts innocent lives in danger and exposes our city that we love to massive lawsuits, and our city deserves better than that. So thank you so much for your time and letting me speak today.
Anyone else in the center portion? Yes, sir.
Good evening, council. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit different than what everybody else is talking about, although it somewhat relates to John. My name is Jerry Kolonuka, and I've been a long-term citizen of Sterling Heights since October of 1987. And I live at 15 and a half in Dodge Park area. And I've recently retired, and I was fortunate enough to be, before I retired, I was employed in the IT industry for 46 years. And during that time, I had a role as a liaison between my company's IT department and the outside auditors. And so when I hear stories about flock safety, I want to say flock safety because I think that's really the party here that we really need to scrutinize. About, you know, people spying on their spouses and other things going on, unscrupulous with this system and the network. I thought to myself, wearing that cap that I used to wear, who's watching the watchers? And I looked and I looked and I went online and I was looking at some of the company records and I found out there isn't one. And I was really surprised because this system is for protecting our citizens. And I understand that it's a tool that the police department uses. However, it also, in that same vein, puts our citizens at risk because we got unscrupulous people looking at it. We're not sure what public safety is doing to protect the data, although I've heard recently that they're making changes to the system. And then I hear about LAPD doing an audit of the system. Well, LAPD is not an independent auditor. They're a user, okay? So having an auditor that's working for a user or a flock safety, just that's not an audit. You need to have somebody that has no business interest, financial or otherwise, with flock or the other actors or users of this network and system, and that they're making sure they're conducting an audit on a regular basis to make sure there's no one misusing the system, that it's secure, the data's secure, that data's not being offloaded, and being shared elsewhere, which I kind of wonder about. Although there's purge periods of 7 days, I think they're talking about changing it to 7 days, and I'm just like, okay, well, who's auditing that? So that's just the emphasis that I wanted to take, is to let you know that, and it's not a trivial thing, that's a major deficiency in this system. And that needs to be addressed. So I've been asking the council if you could at least put a moratorium on this, if not cancel it, to say, flock, you need to address these deficiencies because we're concerned about putting our citizens at risk, unnecessary risk. Until those deficiencies are fixed, we will put that system on hold. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else in the center portion? Yes, sir. We've all been there, buddy.
It's like I can't take anymore.
Hello, my name is Gabriel, and I'm also a Sterling Heights resident. I moved here in 2019, and I signed my marriage paperwork with my wife in our apartment in the middle of the pandemic. I got my first house in 21, and Mr. Mayor, I think we must be close to being neighbors because I'm right smack dab in the middle of the Clinton renovation project as well. So I want to thank you for your time here. I've lived in a lot of places. I moved a lot earlier in my life. And so when I got my first home here, I was not prepared to fall in love with Sterling Heights, but it happened, and I love this community, so I want to be involved. My wife and I love walking down to Henry Ford II High School for craft shows, and I saw the kids in here today. We're thinking about starting to have kids next year, maybe. You know, it makes me think a lot more about my community, and I too am deeply uncomfortable with the implementation of the flock system that they have in place here. I personally also don't really believe Flock's claims about how their camera data is being used and shared, or that it actually directly results in higher crime solve rates. But I hope you listen to the experts on that, and the data should speak for itself. My biggest objection is that a for-profit company is the one handling this, this mass surveillance campaign. They're not really directly transparent or accountable to the public, and their truest and first responsibility is to their shareholders for making profit-motivated decisions. If a database of everyone, everywhere, all the time is going to exist in any form, I want it to be held to the highest standards. Warrants for searching such a database, easily available logs of who's using it and how, laws policing its misuse, preservation of the privacy of people who have done nothing wrong but just walk on the streets and drive on the streets and become a part of this database. I recognize that technology is changing fast. I grew up listening to cassette tapes when I was a kid, and now we don't have physical data at all for most of our systems. And the development of the public mechanisms to police and govern the responsible use of technology, it always struggles to keep up. And so I hope that the City Council can be proactive on this, as the alarm bells have been raised across the nation with Flock and how they're doing it. I hope that we can kind of listen to reason there and help kind of police this technology that is based on stuff that didn't even exist a handful of years ago. I know these technologies aren't going away, and I also want law enforcement to have the tools it needs to keep up with an ever-changing world. But I just hope that the council will echo my concerns over how it's being implemented right now and ensure that we're making proper use of them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the center portion? Yep.
Hello, my name is Justin. I am a 26-year resident of Sterling Heights. My entire life I have been a resident of Sterling Heights, minus a couple for college, but I'm back because I like living here. It's where I grew up. I went to the library regularly just down the road. It's where I learned to read, and I also enjoy being a citizen of the United States of America. On the topic of these mass surveillance systems, I would like to express concerns about violations of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution and rights around unwarranted searches. I would have attended some certain prior city council meetings had I known Flock would be on the agenda, but I didn't seem to see it. In previous council meetings, things were discussed such as other surveillance technologies that are currently at use, such as cell phone tracking and credit card location data. Technologies that require warrants for acquiring data in relation to. The reason that these warrants are required, as ruled by the Supreme Court, was that citizens have a reasonable expectation to privacy of their location. That's why there are warrants required to get these location data. Mass surveillance networks, such as Flock cameras, and other companies, such as Axon, whoever may take their place, have no such rules in place. This is not because they are not capable of tracking your location at all times. Flock and many other companies market their cameras as ALPRs, but as we know from several months ago when there was a bank robbery and a car without a license plate was tracked and boasted to be of having been assisted in catching by Flock cameras, they are much more capable of tracking things, anything that is taken, that a photograph is taken of, not just license plates, not even just cars. If people are visible, they can be tracked. This is part of what's coming with these AI data collection and analysis tools, and I'm concerned that it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment of our right to privacy, and as established by the Supreme Court in the case of needing a warrant for the data for other technologies such as cell phone location data and credit card location history. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, I think that was most of my main argument about Fourth Amendment concerns, but also that Flock is not a company that should be trusted. They make arguments about these point-in-time data collection, that it's not surveillance. If I take a picture if I take a bunch of pictures in a row, that becomes a video. If you take a bunch of data points of somebody moving, it becomes a route. It's impossible not to know where people go. And when these cameras are hooked up to these AI systems and used en masse to be able to fingerprint cars, they're moving towards implementing radio signal trackers into many of these devices so that not just the car, but the people within the car, their cell phones, Bluetooth earbuds, even tire pressure measurement sensors within your wheels are going to be tracked by these devices so that they can know everywhere that you go, and all without warrant. Personally, I would like to express my concerns that I don't think such data should maybe be collected in the first place. It would be extremely hard to keep such mass collected data, such sensitive data to everyone safe. So I wanted to say that and just express that I think the city council should consider that, and that I will consider their decisions on renewing the flock contract when I vote at the next election. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else from the Senate portion? Yep, in the back.
Hi, I'm Kenny. I'm here from Warren. I'm here to talk about flock as well. Earlier this month, the Washington Post published an article documenting cases where flock had been used to stalk and harass people. One of the victims they covered was Marcy Bakley. She became frightened after her ex, a police chief, was sending her threatening text that indicated that he knew where she was even when he wasn't around. She became so scared that she bought a hidden camera detector and had taken her car into a shop to have it check for a hidden GPS tracker. Her ex didn't need any of that, though, because he had flock. He had searched the plates of Marcy and her teenage daughter over 600 times and had been tracking them for 13 months. She felt powerless and struggled to have her case taken seriously. In an interview, she said, "He watched every move I made, but who do you turn the chief of police into?" In another case covered by this article, Cody Wayne Hall was caught using flock to stalk and harass his ex-romantic partner. Since flock cameras capture much more than just license plates, he was able to text his ex the details of what she was wearing while she took her kids to the park. After being fired and sentenced, he was confused why he was the only one being singled out and said, "Pretty much everyone uses that computer system improperly in the department, and they don't audit it nearly as much as they should." But flock doesn't need bad actors to put innocent people in danger. On April 14th, 2024, flock alerted the Toledo Police Department about a stolen vehicle. 4 officers pull the vehicle over and order Brandon Upchurch out of the car. While Brandon tries to get clarity on the situation, the officers release a canine, and Brandon is bitten multiple times before being taken down and arrested. His car was not stolen. Flock misidentified the car. Brandon sued the city and won a settlement of $35,000. When asked about it, Brandon said, "It scared me. I'm traumatized for real. If we would have sneezed wrong, it would have ended bad." In 2025, flock repeatedly misidentified the car of JC and Carolyn Heron as stolen. First, the couple gets pulled over. Then, at a later date, officers come to their house to investigate the stolen vehicle. Then on June 9th, the officers pull the couple over again, this time with guns drawn. The couple are ordered out of the car and get handcuffed. The whole time, their 3-year-old granddaughter is scared and shouting for her grandmother from the car. In an interview, when asked about her granddaughter, Carolyn said she has regressed to sleeping with her parents and tells her mommy all the time, "Baby in the car, baby in the car." Now, I'd like to finish by talking specifically about Sterling Heights. Since the audit logs for our flock data here has not been released yet, we are in the dark about how our data is being accessed. Though by looking at audits from other agencies, we are able to see a sample of how this department is using flock. At the last meeting, we were told that flock would not be used for immigration. However, searches from this department conducted earlier this year searched for immigration, according to police department reports from Ohio, Arizona, Georgia, and New York. In previous years, this department had also conducted searches for U.S. Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection, according to audits from departments in Massachusetts and Connecticut. Again, I was only able to see a narrow slice of how flock is being used here, since the full audit logs for the city have not been shared. It scares me that we have to rely on departments in other states to get any insight into how this department is using flock. Without transparency, oversight, and accountability, we cannot trust that this technology is being used responsibly. And I think voting to renew this would put the community at risk. Thank you.
Anyone else from the center portion? Take you first, ma'am. Oh, she's pointing to you, so you can. All right, do rock, paper, scissors. Why don't you come up with this?
Mike. Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Sean. I'm a 3-year resident of Sterling Heights. My primary concern with Flock is the storage of data and things that are kept within it. We've seen high-level companies, your Googles, your Facebooks, other high-tech companies have vulnerabilities that access sensitive information for phone numbers, emails, this, that, and the other. This is direct information about you, your driver's license, what you drive, what kind of car you drive, what time you were there. Can very easily put together a passage of time on your day-to-day to either further, an easy case, just advertising stuff. You see a dent in your car, you're getting an advertisement in the mail for something to fix it. Could be as dark as someone having more malicious intent for it. On top of that, just use of AI to then scan AI is concerning for me, only because it's kind of a self-feeding system that can either produce errors within itself, but also it's, again, storage of information that was not necessarily consented to by the public that it was taken from, and that, for me, is an issue that goes with it. I'd prefer to, if I'm going to share information, I'd like to consent to it. Some stuff that can be useful, but in most cases it's not. In general, I kind of echo the sentiments of everybody else that's spoken this evening at this point, so that's all I had, but I wanted to share. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Sorry. I know you said to address my name, so good evening, Mayor and Council. Some of you know me. My name is Jessica. And while I don't pay taxes here, Barb, I do come here a lot. That's why some of Council actually knows me. I work with candidates here. I actually volunteer for the city here, even though I live in Macomb Township, and I also volunteer for the library. I did try to pivot based on your request, Mayor. So I am going to read from here, so I'm going to try to speed on through. I'm also here tonight to ask you to vote no on renewing the city's contract with Flock. I want to discuss this based on my professional experience. My expertise is actually in AI. I'm a software engineer. I'm a data analyst. I'm in digital marketing, so yes, I'm the one who also builds the tools, and I create marketing campaigns to follow you guys when you're on your devices. So a lot of people here also probably hate me. And I've done it for the largest companies in the world, and currently still work for the largest company in the world. I can tell you that you are opting in to collecting people's data. So when you are getting all of these ads and everything, and you guys are worried about data collection, you guys are actually choosing to opt into that. When you're downloading an app, you are opting into that. So they are okay to collect your data. The problem with Flock is that the residents are not able to opt into that. They don't have an option, so they're being forced for Flock to collect their data. I work with data every day, and one thing I've learned is that the risk of data isn't just why it was collected. It's what happens when it's stored, searched, shared, connected to other information, or interpreted incorrectly. Sterling Heights' own Flock transparency data has shown more than 1 million vehicle detections in a single 30-day period. And that's where I have a serious concern. At the previous meeting, our police department was unable to answer, when I say our, because I still feel like I'm kind of a resident, our police department was unable to answer what I consider some pretty basic questions. They weren't able to answer questions about the technology that we've been using, the data it collects for the last 4 years now, and how its effectiveness is being measured. After 4 years, they still haven't demonstrated its benefits with meaningful local data. That should matter when you're deciding whether to renew it. If we're going to collect more than 1 million vehicle detections a month, I expect the people asking us to continue that collection to understand the technology, understand its limitations, and be able to prove its value. I don't believe that case has been made. And that brings me to 2022, when this council originally approved Flock. At that meeting, when misuse was raised, Flock's representative said there had been no cases of misuse of their system. Today, we know that's not true. What else are they telling us that's not true? And since I only have a minute left, I'm going to skip down. More than 50 jurisdictions across the country have already ended their relationships with Flock, and that's because they're learning a lot that they're scared of. This is the time that we can make changes. We can support our police department while still demanding evidence, accountability, and protections. After 4 years of the benefits cannot be clearly demonstrated and basic questions about the technology still cannot be answered, the answer should not automatically be another yes. So please exercise the oversight you guys discussed in 2022 and vote no on renewing Flock. 15 seconds left.
Anyone else from the center portion? Yes, sir. While he comes up, Jessica, just one suggestion. Once I buy the product, I don't need the ads anymore. Okay? Once I buy the product, figure out a way to turn that off, okay, if you could. That's the marketer. They're not doing their job. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name's Jeff Matthews. I'm from Warren, but I'm Sterling Heights curious. Perception is a thing that we often take for granted. Often what we see on the menu isn't the thing that we end up getting. A news story says a crime was solved with the use of a grand tool that just so happens to be of some contention. A CEO says he's heard the pushback from the public and is going to make tools safer and reduce the time that data is retained. A vague yet similar story about a runaway child or wandering Alzheimer's patient is shared by police in town after town. These are all examples of what Edward Herman and Noam Chomsky identified over 40 years ago as manufacturing consent. Perceptively, there is a flip side to the coin of what you are being served. The news conglomerate, whose piece praised the technology's reform, is also selling customer interaction data directly to Palantir and ICE. The CEO, who says they heard what people had to say, said months earlier that citizens voicing those concerns through the democratic process were terrorist organizations. The police departments all took a training from the camera manufacturer that taught them to use vague, hyperbolic stories when pushing the system to their local government. Nationally, they were told to give as little detail as possible to those who they would convince to foot the bill. Flock's reputation is that they are continually caught in the lies that they tell, and officials make the choice to plug their ears and vote to do what makes the police happy. Former Flock employees have pointed out they lie about who they share their data with, even internally. And as they control who ultimately has access to it, it's their data. It's not your data. A decade ago, early transparency portal data proved Flock allowed national searching from non-sharing networks. Go talk to your contemporaries in Ferndale, where a system that was supposed to share with no outside agencies was openly searchable and then blamed on their department not knowing how to properly use it. What this all comes down to is lies and our perception. Flock doesn't expect you to actually believe the lies they're telling. That's not the purpose. What the purpose is so that one day, when the inevitable happens and a trans kid disappears for health reasons, or a roofer is taser gloved to death, or a friend's daughter is crushed when her car is T-boned because of a hot list for an out-of-state license plate. The lies they tell you now are so that you, then, can look yourself in the mirror and say, well, how could I have known? They told me it couldn't happen, that it couldn't be used that way, that the innocent would be saved and the criminals thwarted. How could I have known? I ask of you, think about the eyes that will be looking back at you then. What truths are you prepared to see in that reflection? Thank you so much for your time.
Anyone else from the center portion? Yes, sir, come on up.
I'm coming up
to you today to just show you what a reasonable expectation of privacy looks like. Except I'm missing my 50 cameras to prove my innocence. So it's pretty ridiculous, right? The reality is that Flock is at our gun ranges, it is at our dispensaries, it's facing our churches. And why does anybody need to know my son's privacy in any other state, in any other place? Flock has proven that they don't have the ability to limit users from just searching nationally for anything. So the reality is that this is all done without warrant. It throws out our right to due process. And that should be something that we should all be very concerned about. I should not have to have more cameras than the police or my city to prove my innocence for anything. Our due process is something that we have all been promised by our Constitution and by our country. I don't see anyone here that has taken a vote or taken an oath of office to protect the interests of Flock, protect the interests of Palantir, protect the interests of the data centers or an AI that is owned by them. The AI itself only holds about a 90% accuracy. So in reality, that means that out of the 700,000 cases that Flock claims that they have solved and helped with, here it is. That means that there's 70,000 families that were innocent, that were placed on the concrete, on the hot concrete. Myself as a single father, my car could be flagged at any moment as a stolen vehicle because the AI just imagines it, because that's how AI works. I work in the entertainment industry. I do all kinds of crazy things to make AI do some weird stuff. I can put anybody's face on anything. That's what AI is capable of. In the end, I really want people to really consider and reconsider the fact that we don't need this invasive technology, that mass surveillance is not needed. I would rather see 1,000 more officers hired before I ever see a bunch of cameras doing their job. The reality is that nothing replaces us. Nothing should replace us. So in the end, I'm just asking you to, one, read your contract, because there's so much that Flock reserves that you don't understand and have no idea that they're going to keep the data no matter what. They reserve it for training their AIs. They reserve it for anybody else in the country that wants to purge or get that data. So the reality is that we really need to be very careful with this stuff. It is really just taking our Fourth Amendment right and shredding it just hiding behind the third-party doctrine. It's criminal. It is criminal. In the end, I thank you for your time. I'm a long-standing resident of Sterling Heights. My name is Jonathan. I've lived here for over 50 years. I really wish you would reconsider this and not renew the contract. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, not really. Not really. Then everybody would want to talk again. Yeah. I'm going to say no. Okay, we don't let people talk twice. Okay. So I appreciate it. If you're going to talk about Flock, there's been a lot of good coverage today, I would say. Okay, we've covered a lot of good ground. Anyone else from this? It would be out of order. It'd be out of order. And then the next person would want to come up and add more thoughts. So I'm going to say no, but I do apologize, ma'am. Anyone else from the center portion before I move on to my left? Okay, anybody from my left? Yes, sir, in the front.
My name is John Koski, and I'm a Troy resident. Sorry.
We're sorry for you, sir. We're happy to have you tonight.
I tell the mayor all the time.
Okay, Flock and the others too, they port all of their data to the cloud. Okay, there's something else that resides in the cloud. Okay, ICE has let a $1.3 billion contract to Palantir to join the federal databases, and all that data, together with third-party broker data, which you've heard this evening, all your apps are following you around. They're gathering data all the time. And collectively, together, they know everything about you. Okay, they know your social security number, your citizenship, your employment, your finances, your biometrics, your social media posts, your phone records, your family, their locations, and your license plate numbers. Okay. By contracting with Flock, you're providing the latter to them and the geolocation. ICE uses that data to create hot lists to identify their targets. They're using it to separate families, to deport caregivers, and to hold children in detention indefinitely. We saw 9 years ago with family separation. Many of those kids have still not been reunited. We're seeing it again. Flock will tell you that your data is secure and that you own it. That is a lie. You don't own that data any more than you own the cloud. The billionaires who are pandering to the regime own that data. And they're giving ICE unfettered access to it, to pander to the regime, so they can get sweetheart contracts. I know you want tools that will help you solve crime and protect us, but this is not protecting us. It's making us vulnerable. Surveillance never makes you safer. Just 2 years ago, we never imagined that there would be masked thugs marauding through our streets, accosting people, abusing their prisoners. Murdering with impunity. We still don't know the names. They're anonymous. They wear masks. At this moment, we're not sure that America is going to return to the way it was. But people will remember the people who stood with them, as well as the people who did not. And the choice is yours.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from my left side? Yeah, either one of you, two, all three of you can come up one at a time. Hi.
So I am Jackie Myers, and I am from White Lake. I am not from Sterling Heights, but I'm happy to be here today to speak out against Flock mass surveillance and urge you to cancel the contract. I do not come from a tech background, and I had no idea what a Flock camera was until I started seeing them up all over in my community about a year ago, maybe even a little bit less than that. But the more that I've learned about them, the more horrified I become, not only because of the safety concerns, but because there's a big tech knowledge gap that allows Flock's misinformation to take root. They're so predatory in how they market this technology. They hope to reach all of you before the public can weigh in. It's sold to law enforcement as a coveted tool being used everywhere, which pressures them to sign up or be left behind. They exploit people's fears by acknowledging a very valid desire to feel safe in our communities. All of these talking points are a lot more exciting and accessible than listening to someone with a tech background drone on about the necessary context and limitations required to fully grasp the scale and dangers associated with Flock and mass surveillance. Because that's what it is mass surveillance. It is not an isolated snapshot of someone's license plate that only exists for a set period of time, only to be accessed by trusted actors with very good reasons. Every snapshot is another puzzle piece that's fed into AI algorithms that over time paint a picture of our routines and habits. Imagine a database that knows where you like to stop for coffee, how long it takes for you to get home from work, what cities you frequent and on which days, and so on and so forth. This does not make us safer, but it does make us easier to sell products to and oppress. I know your intention is to protect your community, but so does Flock. That's why they exploit fears so they can sell you the solution that plays into your responsibility to protect. And you think you're agreeing to a tool that will help keep your community safer, when in actuality you're introducing a threat that the community themselves cannot protect themselves from. Mass surveillance is not inevitable. We've seen other communities cancel their contracts after hearing concerns. News stories will continue to come out that show how this technology is being used to hurt people. Wouldn't it be better to read those stories with pride, knowing that you protected your community from experiencing similar fates, rather than experience the anxiety of having to worry if cameras in Sterling Heights are being used in the same way? Please protect your community and cancel the Flock contract. Thank you.
I'm tall. Hello, my name is Jenna. I am also not a Sterling Heights resident, but I am happy to be here. I did want to give you guys a few shout outs because I go to a lot of meetings to speak out against Flock. And there are things that I don't often see, like celebrating the library. I was one of those library kids that still goes to the library. When I go into the library, they know me by name. I'm an avid reader, so I think that's wonderful. I also think it's wonderful that you had items on the agenda about creating new parks and green spaces. We don't have enough of that, and I think that's wonderful. Also, the composting pilot is really freaking cool. I think that's awesome. Pretty much everyone has said what I typically say in regards to Flock, but I do want to make a couple points. I do have 17 years of data privacy experience, particularly when it comes to following data privacy law and making sure that companies are following the most stringent laws, which unfortunately America does not have. But Flock is notorious in my company for having failed every single test we threw their way. They have been used to target abortion seekers. As we know, in the great state of Michigan, we have enshrined the right to choose in our state constitution, but there are other states who have not, and women will come here seeking respite from stricter laws. And we have seen that the police in Texas used the Flock network to track a woman all the way here. Well, I don't think it was here, but they tracked her across the country and then arrested her when she arrived back in Texas, just because they thought she might be getting an abortion. Also, there was a news report about a Flock employee that was using the camera system to spy on a children's gymnastics center. I personally don't think that the problem is necessarily with the police. I know it's kind of made to look that way, that people that speak out against Flock are anti-police, but you don't have any insight on what Flock is doing with the data. And as other speakers have mentioned, it is in the cloud, it's their data. Your contract is buying a lease to access that data. So I would urge you to cancel a contract. It's my understanding that you're in an at-will contract, meaning you can cancel it at any time. I think it would be wise to do that as soon as possible. And then I would also urge you to consider having a town hall similar to how you are with this construction project that is happening in your community, to hear from the residents about how they feel about Flock, and invite those 8,000 residents to speak their minds about how they feel about Flock in this community. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Philip. I've been a Sterling Heights resident for around 4 years and a network engineer for about 7 years. So recently, Flock made some changes, updates for better privacy, transparency, and accountability. These changes are a PR move, and they don't address the fundamental issues with this company's practices. Nothing's been done about the misuse of the system by their own employees or about their own failures in terms of data protection. Per an article from 9 News, a local Colorado outlet, on July 30th, 2025, they asked Flock CEO Garrett Langley in a live interview if the company had any federal contracts, to which he confidently replied they did not. Now, per a study conducted by the University of Washington Center for Human Rights, in August of 2025, journalists from 9 News discovered that the Border Patrol had been granted access to ALPR systems in jurisdictions who previously had declined to share data with federal authorities. Flock's statements on the matter make it unclear whether or not CBP had been granted access through a back door or not. The study cites at least 10 cities in Washington state whose data was accessed by CBP without their knowledge. But from reporting from 404 Media, the cities that they accessed were on the national network, so functionally, CBP had access to the entire 80,000 nationwide flock camera network. Flock has since admitted that this was part of a pilot program they did with the Border Patrol and apologized. They also claim company leadership had no knowledge of this program, which, if true, means that mid to high level Flock employees are able to grant access to whoever they want, access to whatever they want access to. In another instance, through public records request, it was found that multiple Flock employees were able to log on to the system in Dunwoody, Georgia, and view footage. This includes Flock VP of Business and Development, Bob Carter, who logged in to view footage of a girls' gymnastics class in the Dunwoody Community Center. Flock claims this is for a sales demo, but he looked at no other footage that day. If you are going to give a prospective client a demo of system, why would you only look at 12-year-old girls practicing gymnastics? Now, where was I? Flock's next action was to scrub all the implicated employees from the internet as best they could. They have not said anything on whether or not these employees are still employed at the company. But they did issue a half apology saying there was poor judgment and promised radical transparency moving forward. Flock is adamant in all their contracts that the employees don't have access to the data. But, oh, whoops, one of our employees logged on and looked at footage of girls practicing gymnastics. They claim that cameras aren't used for immigration. But, oh, whoops, looks like Border Patrol got secret access and we couldn't do anything about it. Sorry, our fault. That's not good enough. As an IT professional, I can't stress how alarming this is. This doesn't happen on secure systems. This is a failure of basic security practice on so many different levels. They love to claim they've never been hacked, but if a hack is a bank robbery, if this is a teller just withdrawing money from your account whenever they want, it's worse than being hacked. These are not mishaps. These are data breaches done in official capacity. That is terrifying. If the companies that I work with in a professional capacity wouldn't trust a company like this track record with their emails, much less location data on every single person in the country. So how do we know they aren't doing this anymore? It's entirely possible they just made special access channels that are kept out of the search logs. We would never know. And, sorry, I lost my point again. And we continue to trust this system because what? It hasn't happened here yet? I think that's a very naive position to be taking. It hasn't happened to us yet, so we'll be fine. Well, no, my house hasn't broken into yet, but I have an alarm system. We prepare for these eventualities, and when we see something dangerous, we avoid that dangerous thing. So that's my time for tonight, but thank you so much for hearing me speak, and I urge you all to cancel this contract. Thank you.
Yep, in the back.
He's coming already.
Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun. But that's fine. You're here.
Good evening, Mayor Taylor, City Council. My name is Taboo. I've lived in Sterling Heights for quite a bit. Happy to be here. I love the city and love having my family here. I'm here about the Flock license plate cameras. My ask is simple. Do not let this contract quietly auto-renew. Do not take a vote before having an independent audit and being able to present the public with actual data about how Flock has impacted arrests and case closures. We deserve an independent audit and an enforceable ordinance, not assurances from the company selling the product. They've made optional changes that do not have to be taken into effect. The first thing I want to speak about is accountability. Nothing I say tonight is an accusation against our officers. The problem is the system, where an officer just types in his own reason and no warrant is ever required. I know others have brought up the cases that we've heard around the country of misuse of Flock, 26 cases involving tracking wives, girlfriends, and exes. August 7th, Savannah, Georgia fired 6 police employees for running Flock searches on family and acquaintances and referred them for criminal investigation. A Kansas police chief ran his ex-girlfriend's plate 228 times, logging reasons like missing child. And we also have misidentification. There's a lot of mistakes with this technology. According to Roseville, California, who audited its flock alerts, 71% were misreads. The Institute for Justice counts at least 27 innocent drivers stopped, jailed, or detained over plate reader errors since 2018. Police drew guns in nearly 2/3 of those stops. And 20 minutes from here, Detroit paid a settlement after officers held Isoke Robinson and her 2-year-old son at gunpoint and impounded her car for 3 weeks over a plate reader mix-up. She was never charged with anything. The next thing I'd like to speak about is security. Last November, Senator Wyden told the Federal Trade Commission that stolen police logins for Flock systems were on sale on a Russian cybercrime forum, and Flock still doesn't require two-factor authentication. Then 5 days ago, Flock announced emergency reforms, mandatory case numbers, automatic lockouts, default retention cut from 30 days to 7. When the vendor overhauls its own safeguards mid-contract, that's an admission that those safeguards did not exist while 1 million plates a month from this city sat in its system. And lastly, something I'd like to bring your attention to, just the funding of Flock. We know the CEO, Garrett Langley, and we've heard his name, but also we need to look at some of the lead investors like Andreessen Horowitz, another member of the PayPal mafia, these tech oligarchs who control all of our data. And I think it's also alarming that this same venture firm also seed funded Toka, a cyber intelligence firm co-founded by Ehud Barak and Israel's former prime minister, and Yaron Rosen, the former chief of Israel's military cyber command. It operates under the Israeli Defense Ministry oversight and sells only to state intelligence and security agencies. Its documents, reviewed by the paper Haaretz, describes tools that locate security cameras, hack into them, and rewrite live and recorded footage without leaving a trace. There's no known link between Toka and Flock systems, but the same money is financing the cameras on the streets and the tools for covertly rewriting what the cameras see. That is alarming. When that is in the ecosystem, trust us is not an oversight policy. Independent verification is needed.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Bev. I'm a Sterling Heights resident, and I staunchly oppose Flock. Flock does not make us more safe. It makes us less safe, and I think all the things that were presented before, I also agree with. And also, having heard this council express earlier with your Good Neighbor Award, right? Just kind of connecting the dots. We don't need to treat our neighbors as criminal suspects till they're proven innocent, right? This is what surveillance companies like Flock do. They create a surveillance state. They create more suspicion and division and actually tension within the community. And as reminded by the public health presentation earlier tonight, our community and neighbors need more resources like the public library, more parks and public spaces for us to come together, and recognition for the good that they're doing. Flock uses artificial intelligence from data centers, which we've seen the environmental destruction and mass displacement of communities across the US and also in countries abroad. Michigan knows well these fights we've had against these centers. These data centers are drying up our water resources and overloading the electrical grids, which are causing skyrocketing utility prices across the country. I used to live in LA myself. I moved while the wildfires were becoming more common. And over here now, we just had the wildfires, right, in Canada. And as that smoke came pouring in, I was sad that I couldn't go over to Dodge Park and enjoy the park, right? So why let our public funds be wasted on these great parks? We just spent all this time talking about the resolution earlier about developing these parks. Are we going to just let these funds go to waste? We don't want more fires or smoke from climate change. We want to think about our future, the future of these children that we brought up earlier, that you awarded because they actually read actual books, right? They weren't just relying on AI. AI is not the way of the future. AI is a race to the bottom. I hope that you genuinely serve the people and stand with us in opposition to Flock or any contracts with similar surveillance companies. And if you haven't heard enough of the people's opposition tonight and the other nights before, I guess, please reconsider who you represent. Are you with us as your constituents who are also watching you? Do you represent us or dirty money and the corporations? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jenna. I have lived in the great state of Sterling Heights, not state, Jesus. Great city of Sterling Heights my entire life. We got 26 years, baby, let's go. Everyone has said a lot of good points. I know earlier it was mentioned that, we might have some people with opposing views come up. I believe I'm the last one. So I just want to stress what a bipartisan issue this is, that everyone has come together on, that we all want our privacy respected and our rights as U.S. citizens, and innocent until proven guilty. Don't assume that your neighbors are criminals, that you're not being watched all the time, etc. And also, personally, there's never been a decision in my life that I've made that has resulted in like 50 people coming out on a Tuesday to sit for like 2 hours, almost 3, to go, and especially just for the last hour, come with a list of 95 theses, nailing it to the door and saying, here are my grievances. I think it's important, I was mentioned, but I just want to stress that the people in charge of Flock keep watching cameras in gymnastics centers, preschools, and playgrounds. The solved crime rates have not improved in place with Flock cameras, and they have a false high positive. There was someone, a different mayor, who would compare this to Big Brother on steroids, and I think it's important that, especially since we had all those kids here who read all those books and are gonna keep reading, Big Brother was not the hero in 1984. This isn't something that we should be either just accepting inevitably or like complicit in just moving towards. If you support Flock, you don't support consent and privacy of other people, and if you don't support consent and the privacy of other people, you're kind of a bad person, and ugly. And yeah, just again, all of us who came out tonight, thanks, we rock. But also that we all came out knowing that these Flock cameras are throughout our city, and you guys do have the ability to track us, and the number of stalking cases, etc., the misuse of these cameras that has been used, whether it's to spy on kids doing gymnastics. Does anybody want the government to have a bunch of footage of their children? I mean, personally, I don't, but yeah. And I'm trying to think. I think there was one other thing. Anyways. Sure, yeah. Thank you. No, that was the other thing I wanted to say. I know that I'm not as articulate as a wide variety of people who have come here tonight to stand and list their feelings on all of this, but I thought it was important that I also, as a resident of the city, give my feelings on this surveillance system.
Okay, anyone else under communications from citizens tonight? Going once, going twice. All right, I'm going to close that portion. Reports from city administration, anything tonight, Mr. Vanderpool?
Nothing further, Mayor.
Mr. Koszybski?
No closed session, Mayor.
Okay, I'll open it up to city council for reports or new business. Who'd like to go first? Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple things. I appreciate everyone who came out and spoke tonight. I have voted against Flock every time the contract has been presented to us, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm not a proponent of the system. Recently, I believe the entire city council went through a demo of the Flock system at the PD. While watching that demo, one thing that came to mind was how easy it was to add other agencies to our Flock system. If anyone hasn't gone through a Flock demo, it's a toggle switch. It's like a friend on Facebook. You ask to be connected, and if it's accepted, you toggle them on yes, and you can then later on, if you want to turn them off, toggle them on no. And that was kind of shocking to me because I asked our police department, who I think is doing a very good job, I asked them, how are you vetting these agencies that we're adding to the system? Because from what I remember from that presentation, it's something like 2,800 agencies are our friends on Flock, our friends. And I was told that they would look a little bit at the department and essentially add everyone in, because a surveillance dragnet is only as good as all the cameras that are in it. If you don't have all the cameras, it doesn't really as effective. So that kind of spooked me, because I also asked the last meeting that we remove any 287G communities that were our friends on Flock. It turns out that we were friends with agencies that violate our very rules here in Sterling Heights as we view immigration enforcement. So they were removed. But this got me thinking on how agencies were both added and how we track them. So I've discussed with the mayor and I've talked to the city attorney, and I guess I would like us to basically create a Sterling Heights ethics form, or a Sterling Heights form that essentially says what our network can be used for. And any agency that wants to be added to our network on Flock has to fill out this form with their police chief or their city attorney, attesting that they will follow our ethics and standards here in Sterling Heights to be our friend on Flock. I don't think that's asking too much. It's shocking to me that Flock does not have this already. I'm thinking this up in my room, right? And what I thought was kind of crazy is that to send your kid to the Detroit Zoo, you have to fill out a permission slip. So-and-so person is going so-and-so place, here's the authority to have it. To join our network on Flock, all you gotta do is say, please add me. And that to me does not make a lot of sense. So without objection, Mr. Mayor, I was hoping the city attorney could work on this and present us with some kind of, I don't want to call it a contract, but some kind of document that we can send to other agencies to fill out and return. And then they'll be added, if they're added to our Flock network, they have to agree that they will not use it for reproductive health care. They will not use it for immigration enforcement. And they'll follow whatever other standards that we have, including case numbers, those policies. And I'd also ask that all the agencies that are currently on our network be sent this form. And if they won't return it, we should remove them. Because if you can't fill out a 1 or 2 page document attesting that you will follow high ethical standards with Flock, you should not be in our network. So without objection, Mr. Mayor, I'd like this to be created, and then we can go on from there.
Any objection?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Zarko.
I might not, but here's my problem, is without objection has become standard operating procedure. And without objection was always made to send research, or it wasn't for, let's make a decision tonight. And it's become that we're making a decision tonight. So I appreciate the fact that Mr. Radke would want this. However, I want to think about it, and maybe there's something more I want to add to it. So I don't want to jump into this. I think listening to all the people that are here, they consider it's a very serious issue. And I think it needs a lot of research, and to still and jump on something tonight without, getting the research that I want, I think we should wait on this. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I just don't think that we should be always without objection and then having action at the table. I think it's become a habit, and that's not what it's intended for.
I can make a motion, Mr. Mayor, if that's easier.
So I guess, well, let me hear from anybody else who wants to weigh in on it before we go back to you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mayor
Mrs.
Taylor, I
Sarowski?
appreciate that, so thank you very much. So yes, I do think that doing the without objection and asking them to bring us something is the same as making a motion without the support of council. Or you could get, if when we vote, then we would have the support. What I would rather see happen is that we have something that we can look at. And yes, you guys have given us a lot. I mean, we've already done a lot of research, and you gave us a lot to think about and a lot to look into more. So I really appreciate all the opinions and the concerns and everybody that's here. But don't think that we've already got this all like tied up with a bow. We don't. We still need some research. We still need some ideas. I do think that ethics thing is a good idea, but I want to see how it's going to look before we do anything further. So I would like to, pardon me, not object specifically, but give support to some options of how it's going to look before we say this is what it's going to be and we're going to go forward. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, anyone else? Mrs. Schmidt?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Yeah, I would like more information. I know when we were in our presentation, we had talked about a similar situation of coming up with something for other departments to have to agree to. So I think this isn't just something that we should, Mr. Radke, with all due respect, you talk about being blindsided at the last meeting, and you're without objections is kind of a blindside to all of us. So I would like more input from all of council instead of just your idea, but I would like to think about what my idea would be. So I guess I do object to this going forward tonight, and maybe getting some suggestions from not only the police department, but administration as well. I mean, we're 7 people, and I know we heard a lot tonight, and I appreciate it. You guys have put a lot of time into this, and I appreciate that, and I've listened, and I want to make sure that we get things right. But to just jump willy-nilly without objection, I object.
Okay, anyone else? Here are my thoughts. I think just based on what I've heard from Councilwomen Zarko, Sarowski, and Schmidt, I think they've raised legitimate concerns regarding the procedural use of the without objection. Here's what I guess I would ask. Is there support for having the administration come back to us within 30 days with options for, I don't know, a policy as to how we can better control connecting with other departments? Is there any objection to that? Does that get you where you want?
I need 30 days. I mean,
Maybe the next meeting. I don't know for sure. I'm asking. And I guess more to the point, my own personal feeling on it is, I appreciate that this is an important issue to you, it is to me, and this is a step in the right direction. But, at the end of the day, what's the point? If they're gonna violate the consent form, if they're gonna violate what Flock's purpose is, as described by the Flock Corporation, they're gonna violate our consent forms. They're not gonna care, right? So I'm not sure
the contract, Mike. Let's put it on the agenda.
Yeah, look, I'm getting there. So, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think it moves the ball forward very much in terms of protecting the concerns that have been raised today. If the contract stays in place, I do think it's something that has to be discussed, and it has to be, the administration has to come back to us with some way of alleviating these concerns. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure that this is a technology that's savable in terms of protecting against what we've heard today. It's just a decision as to whether you want to continue to use the technology because you think it has some benefit in solving crimes and deterring crime and finding those kidnapped kids and elderly dementia patients, or not. But whether or not there's a consent form, to me, I don't see it as that meaningful. I guess, what I heard from the three of you, I think, is you don't want to make a decision tonight. You'd like to have something presented to you. You'd like to give it thought. You'd like to see what the options are. I mean,
I just want to see it put on the agenda.
Mr. Vanderpool, I mean, do you have enough to direction to come back at the next meeting or the meeting after that with some options?
Mayor, thank you. I think it's really important that we consider all the ideas and input that the city council's had. You've all had a chance to see the demo. I've heard from all of you different ideas and thoughts that you'd like to see research a little further. In fact, I've heard from the police department new ideas that they would like to implement as well as we move forward. And it is a little bit of a work in progress in that respect. So I think it's a good idea for administration, as you suggested, to report back to city council with some meaningful responses to the feedback, concerns, questions that we've heard from all of you. And then you can direct us accordingly. Some of the ideas that have been suggested and concerns raised, the police department can implement. That administratively they can implement. They're looking at those ideas all the time, best practices, trying to figure that out. I mean, we are doing what Flock is now suggesting that be done. For example, having case numbers. You know, we basically started that. We do that. We require that. So I'm happy to continue to collaborate more. I think it's to establish a regimented timeline to come back at the next city council meeting, for example, with all these ideas, and then to debate it again and go through this discussion and then try to winnow them down and then try to figure out prioritizing what should be done. I think that could be problematic. But I do think it would be very prudent and wise for administration to report back to the city council what has been implemented, what has been suggested to be implemented in the time frame in which it can be done, and then you may have other ideas. These ideas are going to evolve. They're going to keep coming up. Even though the contract may be renewed in December, there's 30-day notice to get out of the contract. So this will be a contract that's under review, extensive review, for the foreseeable future. Could be for the next year, could be for the next 2 years, however long we're using it. We're committed to making sure that any technology we use, and AI is not going away, any technology we use is very
again, guys,
solid.
I appreciate, like I said at the beginning, I would appreciate that you guys provide us the same level of respect that we provided you. You've asked us to undertake a very important, very serious, difficult issue, okay? And it's not easier by hearing catcalls and people booing and doing other things from the audience. It doesn't make it easier, and I'll tell you something, it doesn't make us more likely to do what you want, okay? So please offer us the same respect that we gave you. Mr. Vanderpool.
Mayor, I don't think there's anything more I can add other than to summarize by saying we'd be happy to report back to the city council.
Okay, Mr. Radke, I think the bottom line is I didn't hear clear direction, and I think there was objection.
That's fine, and that's why it's a unanimous consent motion. They can object. But it's not, through the chair of the city attorney, it's not out of order to ask for the motion.
No, I don't think it's out of order.
No. I guess what I'll say is, I want this placed on the agenda. I don't think it's acceptable to have them come back and then we're gonna have the same fight up here that we're having right now to place this on the agenda to talk about. So,
yeah, so can I jump in?
Sure.
What, I don't disagree. I think that this, I guess my question would be, the contract renews when? December? December 1st, December 31st? Do you know?
It's like December 22nd.
And if the council takes no action, does it renew automatically?
Correct.
And if the council takes act, so the only reason it would really be on the agenda is, well, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say to vote it down, but I think it should be on the agenda either way. I mean, we could theoretically put it on the agenda in 14 or 30 days and make a decision as to whether we're gonna renew now, could we?
Yes.
Correct.
I think we ought to bring this issue to a head. And I don't know if 30 days is enough, 60 days seems more than enough time, but I don't, are we gonna wait till December?
Point of order, Mayor, can I weigh in on that just a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
So we did have, there was a Facebook post that said, everyone opposed, please come to this meeting. But we didn't have anyone, and this is, well, everybody has a very valuable opinion. We didn't have anything that says we need to have those that want this. So we're only hearing the negative. And that is a great, it's an important side with very important views, but I want to hear from residents if they're, or give them the opportunity to weigh in positively if they want it to, because I don't, this is a two-sided issue that we need to make a decision on. And we're only getting half the information, or maybe more than half, but we don't know that. So that's what I would like, is that I would like to have something, I know that you want to bring this to a consensus, but this is not the issue that we want to make a rash decision on. So I would like to see that we get more input from the residents, or at least request it from them. If they show, they show. They don't, they don't. And we got our answer.
Mr. Radke, the floor.
So I guess I'd ask you, Mr. Mayor, what do you think is a sufficient amount of time to place this on the agenda?
I would say 30 days.
Okay.
I don't see why it can't be voted on at the second meeting in September.
Okay. I'm amenable to that. To have discussed the contract and any other,
And at that point, I mean,
permission slip or anything else at that
Right.
meeting, that would be helpful, I think. I'd be favorable to that.
Mayor Taylor?
We have to vote on this.
No.
hold on. Mr. Radke still has the floor. He hasn't made any sort of a motion. He's just talking about what he'd like to see.
Right, thank you.
Mr. Radke.
So the way I see this is, with the extra data that Mr. Vanderpool is going to get us, we can have a robust discussion about Flock. I've already made up my mind about Flock. I made it up 4 years ago, so nothing has changed from my perspective. But I think that's valid. I think that, we should place this on the agenda so that any resident who wants to speak on it, either pro or against, can come out and speak on it. What else was I gonna say? So I guess, to your earlier point, will a contractor permission slip or terms of service have any real impact? I mean, we all fill out terms of services when we do any number of things in the world. And, we're usually bound by those terms of service. We are bringing forward a local ordinance to make it a crime to misuse Flock. And I think that I made it the last meeting.
No.
I did. We did do that, Mike.
No, we did not.
Absolutely.
I know you brought it up. I don't remember. I have to go
Okay.
watch the tape.
I could have swore that I asked for it. But we can look
I
at,
know you mentioned it. I can't remember the
Okay.
specifics.
that's fine.
I'll watch.
Right. So what I would say is that, part of that should be that we're going to make this a local crime, because it's not a crime to violate Flock. And we should also add in this note, if we're going to do it, that if we find that you violated these rules, you will be removed and you could possibly be charged with a crime if you search our network. I don't think that's out. If you use our network illegally, it's a crime in Sterling Heights to do this. You've done it illegally. Even from someplace else, I think that would still be a crime. I guess for the city attorney, you have a look on your face.
Mr. Kstrupski.
Thank you, Mayor. A local ordinance wouldn't be really enforceable against anybody outside of our own agency. You'd never be able to prosecute somebody from Arkansas. You wouldn't have jurisdiction to do it, because what they're doing is they're accessing a system, yes, but they're accessing it through a Flock system that they own.
This is a perfect example of why the system is not secure, why there are no rules. And what I found very frustrating when I went to the PD was that they were partners with agencies that violate our own rules. Because in the haste to put this system together, they've essentially thrown all caution to the wind. You know, when you're friends with Taylor, who does local immigration enforcement, that violates our standards. They can search our network in ways that would violate our standards. There's no rules requiring them to follow our standards. And I don't understand why it's me pointing this out to our own PD, that this should not be happening. That's frustrating to me. Because what's the point of us setting policy here in Sterling Heights if our own department isn't following the policy that we've set forth? So what I would say is I would argue for 30 days. I guess, should I make a motion now or should I let it go around the table? I'm not.
Well, why don't we let other people chime in?
Sure.
And then if we need to, we can come back for a second.
Okay.
Okay, is that fair?
Yeah, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, council, anyone else?
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I'm not opposed to any of this research. I'm opposed to the timeline. That's what I'm opposed to, is if, you know, we start working on this, it's not the only thing we're doing in the city. So in order to pressure, whether it be the city attorney or whether the police department, in order to do all of this, plus the research that, you know, with other communities, I don't want to put a timeline on it. If it doesn't happen until October, it doesn't happen until October. I'm opposed to the timeline. And, you know, and I understand, Mr. Radke, you don't like Flock, you don't want anything to do with it, but there are other opinions, not just here on the council, but in the community. And it's not all about what one person wants. We've learned that before. What I want might not be in the best interest of the whole. And that goes for a topic that we talk about. So I'm frustrated because we're looking for a solution. And when you say I've already made up my mind, that tells me that whatever what we come up with for a solution, you haven't made up. You're not going to make up your mind. Through the chair to the city attorney, Mr. Koszewski, when it comes to this Flock contract that we have, is this their standardized contract? Everybody that participates with Flock gets the same contract. Is that correct?
Mr. Koszewski.
Well, at least in 22 it was. Whether they've changed in 24, if they've changed anything since then, I don't know, because our contract doesn't change its terms. So it stays the same price and everything. It just automatically renews at the same terms.
Okay. So if we decided to change the terms of the contract, that would be the time to do it as well as before the renewal. Which I'm sure if not all the contracts are the same, that we could add something or take something out from the contract, correct?
Mr. Koszewski.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Zierko, yeah, you can always negotiate with any party on contract terms. Even with self-renewing contracts, like we've stated, ours is kind of an at-will contract, so we can terminate it with 30 days' notice. But you could go to Flock and you could negotiate different terms if you needed to.
Okay.
Whether they accept those terms is another
because
question.
some of I guess my question would be, because they've publicly come out nationwide that they're changing some of their policies, but are those policies written in the contract that we have? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because it says they save the data for 30 days. Well, we're not doing that anymore. So that's why, you know, I think there's a lot of research that has to be done. We know that within 30 days, we can get out of this contract. So let's do our research, make the decision that we need to make for for most people, because not everybody's going to be happy. But let's do what we can to make this the best policy that's out there, and hopefully there'll be other communities that follow us once they're in place. So that's all I have to say, but I don't want to put a timeline on this, because we can get out of it in 30 days one way or another.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Zierko?
Nothing else.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt.
So I guess, you know, we have until December.
Yeah.
We have until December, and we can get out of this contract if we want to get out of this contract. I guess through the chair to Mr. Koszewski. Mr. Koszewski, is there a possibility that we could insert more security into our contract with Flock? Can we change the terms of the security of our data with Flock?
Mr. Koszybski.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councilwoman Schmidt, I would say this. You can always ask, right? And you can try to negotiate different terms. Whether the company will do that or not is another question, right? That's negotiating. They have a business model and they use data centers for their security of data. They're probably not going to change that model, but it's something you can ask. Whether or not they will or not, I don't know. But you can ask for various safeguards and try to get various assurances through the contract that is enforceable in a court of law if they were to violate it. So that is something there.
Okay. I mean, that's more things, information that we need back. So I'm not, I know some people have made up their mind on this, and that's why the big rush to get out of it or to discuss it. Maybe not everybody's made up their mind. So I need that time. I need that information. I need, and truth be told, folks, I've gotten a lot of emails and phone calls from people that are in support of Flock. So there are people out there, and they may not be here. They may not be here, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I can remember there were
Come on.
there were issues in the past that was very contentious, and people are intimidated to come to a council meeting and speak out. They really are. So they contact us individually. And I don't know about my colleagues, but I have gotten quite a few emails and quite a few phone calls in counterpoint to all of you folks. So I have to take those folks into consideration as well. We're never going to make everybody happy. That just doesn't happen. But we have to look at the big picture of the whole situation. And in order for me to have that information, I'm not going to rush my administration to get information to me and to get, facts on both sides. I get it. I get it. I've talked to people in the IT industry as well. And they have a counter opinion to some of you folks. So, I have to look at everything. I have to look at all opinions, and then I have to look at all the information and the facts. And that's what I'm asking time to do. So I have nothing further, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt.
We're just talking about this right now, right? This isn't my.
Yeah, why don't we get through this?
Yes, okay.
And then we can do everything else. Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So there were a couple of comments that I wanted to specifically address. And one was that, so how does does using FLAC actually help solve crimes? I did ask, and the police department is working on getting us that information. These type of crimes that normally took this long were solved this way by FLAC. I know that we did have one, I'm just saying, that there was a shooting on Hall Road, totally random, or, it was like a drive-by shooting.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Well,
Councilwoman, that case is under investigation. Would not be proper to talk about that.
okay. So anyway, but we have seen other incidents in the past where FLAC has been helpful. So we use the cameras at that time to be helpful. What does concern me is the AI capability. This isn't just your Polaroid, your camera taken, and you've got all these pictures with license plates and a type of a car, and you run them against a DOS database. This is AI repeatedly layering information upon information and then using that to create a pattern, and then how is that pattern actually going to, how is that pattern, can it be actually accessed in that point? And that's what concerns me. And I am, I've said it before, I'm a nurse. I'm not a data person, but we did have our data people here tell us that this is still a safe thing to use. So we have a lot of information coming in, and we are really trying. So yes, I am not in favor of a fast and furious answer. It's not going to, because Flock's trying to, I know that it's been called a PR move, but it's a company, and they have to be functional, and they can't, if they're constantly showing people bailing out of their system, that's a bottom line thing. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of good, then we can show that we have to hold their feet to the fire. They're changing their practices, they're changing things as we speak, so why would we rush to judgment? And why would we rush to make a decision? Trying not to make the wrong decision. We don't want to make the wrong decision. We want to make the best decision for everybody. So I'm just asking, in this instance, that we give it some time. I am happy to use more time, and we can have information brought back to us as part of the city manager's report, or however we're going to do it. If we make a motion, then we can make a motion, and we can decide on that now. But I think that we need to, I don't want to rush this too fast. And that's my point right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else? Mr. Majek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to do my best to make some comments here. I'm suffering a little bit from jet lag, 6 hours ahead, so I'm dealing with that right now. But I first want to say I appreciate the residents, both of Sterling Heights and outside of Sterling Heights, for coming here for multiple meetings talking about this. You've raised a lot of interesting points. Certainly a lot of this is even beyond me when it comes to talking about this from the national level with AI and being under surveillance. I have a hard time somewhat following that. But I also want to say I appreciate our police officers for being here and listening. I'm kind of watching the body language, and I can see some frustration with you in terms of what you're hearing from residents. Some things you might agree with, some things you might disagree with. And through the chair, you yourself, Mr. Mayor, I think one of the last couple meetings you talked about the importance of finding the right balance between civil liberties and law enforcement. And I appreciate you commenting that on as well. You're a lawyer, and that's very important to you in your private sector type of work that you do. But I know this is important technology that our police department uses. I'm new to the council, so I'm kind of learning about this technology, but I haven't seen any abuses of this at all with any of the officers in the Sterling Heights Police Department. I did meet, excuse me, with the police department this morning to understand more about Flock. I met with the administrator of the Flock technology along with Chief Satterfield. I've also listened to officers over the last couple months, and I personally have not seen any evidence of unethical behavior by officers or any type of misuse with this technology. I've learned that it is a very important tool in law enforcement in finding criminals, finding the bad guys. We had a bank robbery, I think 2 months ago, and with the use of Flock technology, they were able to find the suspect, arrest the suspect, find the cash that was stolen from the bank, find the stolen vehicle, and in essence, solving multiple crimes and finding that, getting that solved in a timely fashion. If we didn't have that one tool for officers to use, not only it could be an ongoing case, but that would also take more resources from officers to solve this. If you're closing a case quickly, that would end that case, and we wouldn't have to spend as many personnel hours, police hours, in detective work to solve that. So I hope I'm clear with that. And I would really hate to vote to take away this technology for officers that help to solve crimes. Public safety is very big and important to the residents of Sterling Heights, and I trust the integrity of our police department when they use this technology. I think there are strong safeguards in place. Believe me, our police department and our chief hear all the residents and your concerns. And I think that's played a part. And I talked with the chief today, and he mentioned that there's the administrative team in Sterling Heights that oversees Flock. They're going to be doing audits every month. In the past, it was once a year. And I think that's a good thing, and I think that's a result of a lot of the residents coming here to talk about those concerns. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for your time on this, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Myjack. My comments are as follows. I think the police have demonstrated to us several use cases or case studies where the technology seems to have been helpful in solving crimes quickly and apprehending criminals. The police did have the city council sit through a very comprehensive demonstration of how the system is accessed, what credentials need to be used to access it, what safeguards are in place internally for the police officers to use it, demonstrated how the police have created policies to do their best to ensure that it is not abused, to regularly audit it, and showed us how the technology works. And as I think others here have said, I'm not aware of any abuse by Sterling Heights police officers. We are aware of several cases where the police have indicated that this technology has been useful and helpful in solving crimes and apprehending criminals. On the other side, there really is no question that this is a mass surveillance tool. That's not something that's reasonably up for debate, and I don't think you've heard any council member or really any proponent of the technology trying to argue that it's not a mass surveillance tool. I think there have been numerous stories indicating that this technology is unsecure, despite claims by Flock that it is secure. And there are certainly some vulnerabilities here. I don't know whether or not a sophisticated hacker could hack into the camera and use it surreptitiously to record and or do other things with the cameras. And I don't think that there's any way that I could satisfy myself one way or the other as to what the answer to that question is. We've heard stories about this technology being susceptible to abuse, and we've heard the stories of abuse, whether it's tracking women across state lines who are trying to get health care, whether it's jealous ex-husbands or ex-spouses using the technology to stalk vulnerable people, or whether it's been used to spy on people and young children. While there are a number of anecdotal stories from our police departments and police departments across the country about how this technology has helped to solve crimes, I still think the efficacy of the technology is somewhat questionable and suspect, especially in light of the conversation that we had at the last council meeting, that there does not appear to be scientific evidence that clearance rates are improving with the use of this technology. In fact, they seem to be staying flat or maybe even regressing. And obviously, there's no question that this technology is unsettling to a lot of people. A lot of people who are otherwise peaceful, community-oriented citizens who just consider it to be an unjustified invasion of their privacy. I sort of am of the opinion that the technology is not susceptible to safeguards. So for example, one of the things that I thought, like what if the cameras had covers on them at all times, except for when there's an Amber Alert that goes out, and then the covers could be removed from the cameras, and then the cameras were limited to only reading, recording, and saving the license plate information of the license plate that is being sought, and the data was stored internally. Of course, if that were the case, then you wouldn't need mass storage. That seems to me to be a solution, but I don't think it's practical, I don't think it's workable, and I don't necessarily think that we're going to see that happen. I also think that the technology is far beyond my capability of understanding how it can be used and how it can be abused. And I think the longer we have these cameras, the more the technology is going to improve, which makes my job as a regulator much more difficult. I'm very much struggling to come up with the justifications to keep this technology. Despite the claim, the successful case studies that we've been shown. And despite the fact that I have the utmost confidence that our police department has put in internal safeguards that I'm comfortable with, and that I honestly, truthfully believe that if there is abuse by our police officers, it will be found and the people who are responsible will be held accountable. But that doesn't help the victim who was victimized by the bad action of this hypothetical police officer. Sterling Heights has been the safest big city in Michigan for a long time, long before this technology was used, and I know we've been using it in some sense for the last 15 years, but really it has not been as prevalent as in the last couple of years. And I think even when we started, we only had a few cameras. When we started, we had 3 cameras.
They were mounted on a police car,
something like
too.
that, right? I'm talking about this contract right now. Mr. Vanderpool, when we started in 2022, how many cameras were initially part of it?
Mayor, I don't recall the exact number, but it's somewhere around 6 or so.
Okay, so it's grown, and I think the inclination will be to continue to expand this until it probably has full coverage over the city. And by that time, again, I'm uncomfortable with how fast technology is outpacing our ability to really understand it and regulate it. Again, I'll say I appreciate the police demonstration, but probably to me, the thing that in my mind I keep seeing and I keep going back to is image after image after image after image after image after image. And the police were very thorough, and they spent a lot of time with us. It was Mr. Radke and I in the meeting, and they kept showing different ways that the technology can be used, how it can be helpful to them. And each time it was shown, there are cars. I was looking at your cars. Maybe not yours, but somebody out there watching on TV, somebody in their house sleeping who's done nothing wrong. I saw their car and their neighbor's car and the other guy's car, car after car after car. And it's unsettling to me. It is. And I think, I was trying to add it up. They showed us a chart of, there's a lot more images taken on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday than Saturday and Sunday. And so I was trying to do the math, and it seems to me that there's about between 250 and 300,000 images per week of people driving through Sterling Heights that are stored somewhere in the cloud, I guess, whatever the heck that means. Who has access to that? I don't know. I don't know. And can I look at any of my constituents in the face and say, I promise you that if there is a immigrant family in Sterling Heights, that their data is not being tracked by the federal government. I could not say that to you. I could not. I don't think anyone on this council could say it. I don't think any of the police officers could say it. And that was a very important issue to me 6 months ago, and it remains an important issue to me today. I don't think there's anything that we 7 can come up with to address any of the concerns that have been raised today. There's nothing we can do. Not a consent form, not a change to the contract, nothing. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. That the decision we need to make is, are we comfortable with the surveillance techniques that this technology allows? Are we comfortable with the vulnerabilities that are apparent because it has been abused in other areas of the country? Are we comfortable with the fact that we haven't really been shown and demonstrated in a scientific way that this is actually making crime, reducing crime, and solving crime at a higher rate? Are we comfortable because we know that it could be used for good, and it might be used for good, and it will be used for good? Are we comfortable with continuing the contract despite the concerns that have been raised today? I don't really frankly think that there's anything that Mr. Koszubski or Mr. Vanderpool or Chief Satterfield is going to come up with that addresses anybody's concerns in this audience today. And I've told them that before. Before we went and had that presentation from the police, I told the city administration, I said, I think it's helpful, I think it's worth doing, but it's not going to change anybody's mind. Like there's no police presentation that's gonna change somebody's mind who feels that they're uncomfortable with a mass surveillance technique where your data is being, your car is being photographed as you're traveling across the state, and that data is being stored. And so I just don't see any way that we can come up with a solution to it. We're either going to vote that we're comfortable with the technology because it has some, it provides some level of assistance to the police department, or we're going to vote that we're not comfortable with the contract for the reasons that were addressed tonight. I respect that if other council members need additional time to make up their mind on that question, that, you know, I'm willing, you know, I can't force us to vote on it. But to me, it seems like I've seen enough that we should bring this issue to a vote sooner rather than later to resolve it, so that we can at least move on and make a determination whether we're going to keep the cameras or not. And waiting till December is fine, but the issue's not going to go away, and I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of new information or light shown on this issue. So that's my opinion, is to get it to the council sooner rather than later. If that's 30 days, great. If it's 60 days, I think that's probably fine too. If it's not till December, so be it. But I'm curious what could be possibly brought to light that hasn't already been. So, okay. I mean, I don't know that there's clear direction to do anything at this point. But you can make a motion, Mr. Radke, if you'd like the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. I want to speak for a second, then make a motion, if I could. My biggest concern with Flock, which I feel like is something that's like the elephant in the room, isn't how our department uses Flock. It's the 2,800 other departments.
18.
Well, they said there was actually more when we went to our.
1,800 when we were in our.
Okay, 1,800, I stand corrected. 1,800 other departments that have access to our data through Flock. And I don't know how we can hold them to our ethical standard. And we can hold them to any standard. That's my concern. That's why contract, permission slip, whatever you want to do, I'm just trying to find a way to put some guardrails on this technology that I think we should abandon. But I'm not sure we'll get there. So I'm trying to do everything I can to mitigate what I can see in front of me, Mike. And that's my concern. Because when you have 1,800 other agencies that have access to our data, how do we ensure that those 1,800 other agencies, which I assume are thousands of police officers across the country, how do we ensure that they are following our ethical standards? That they are doing what they're saying they're doing? That they are only using this for good? We can't. And that's my problem. I don't think anyone in our department, which we now have strict oversight over, is doing anything wrong. But read the Washington Post. There are tons of officers in other departments doing things wrong. I think there's going to be more. As technology improves, as it expands, you're going to have more and more problems with this. So I would like this to put on the agenda 60 days. I moved for, what would the meeting be? I don't even know.
Be the second meeting in October.
I moved to put this on the agenda in the second meeting of October. We can discuss it and decide if we want to keep these cameras or not, or any other things we want to do, permission slip, any other controls. You know, I think that'd be a perfect time to have it on the agenda. If the public wants to come and have a discussion, we're here, and we'll finally address this issue.
All right, I'll support the motion. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the motion? Ms. Riska, can we please have a roll call vote on the motion to bring this contract to a vote at the second meeting in October?
Mr. Radke?
Yes.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Yanez, Ms. Yarko?
Yes.
Mr. Majak?
Yes.
All right, the motion carries by a 6-0 vote. So the contract will come back for the council to vote on at the second meeting in October.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Council, any other new business, reports, et cetera? Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool, any idea when 15 Mile between Van Dyke and Maple Lane is going to get started now that school's getting ready to start?
Mr. Vanderpool.
I don't have the date, Councilwoman Schmidt. However, it's on our cone zone. I can update you tomorrow. It's going to be done by the end of the year. And next year will be the stretch between Van Dyke and Mound.
Okay, because we do have a couple of schools there.
Yeah, so you're asking when it's going to start?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that it can be done quick because school's going to be in
Okay,
2
so,
weeks.
so I can assure you it will not be done in 2 weeks.
Right.
It will be the end of year
But we're
they'll
gonna
be
get-
completed.
We're going to get Clinton River done so Henry Ford can be
Safe.
safe.
Well, this has been on this schedule's been set for over a year now, so I know the schools are well aware of it.
And also, what's the status on any e-bike ordinance coming before us?
That's my thunder.
Ha,
Just took it.
gotcha. Mr. Vanderpool
Mr.
or Mr. Koszybski?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Schmidt, the police chief, along with the number of people in the police department, are working on recommended ordinance changes. In fact, they've been in collaboration with the city attorney. So you're going to see those soon. There's no question that we need some regulations in place beyond what the state allows and does not allow and so on. So there's a lot of communities that have already adopted, well, Berkeley, for example, is all over the news this morning, has banned e-bikes on sidewalks. So now, I'm not sure we want to get to that level, but these are all things that we're reviewing and looking at and trying to identify best practices. So the answer to your question is we're working on it. I think you'll have something, hopefully by year end. I think this might be a really good strategic planning topic because it's going to require a lot of discussion and review and thoughtfulness because I don't think anyone's interested in banning e-bikes, but there needs to be a good level of regulation, meaningful, and that's going to take a little more time, but we are working on it.
Is there an age limit we can put on, I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of those ideas, but then you get into the practicality of that. You know, are you going to pull kids over and ask for IDs and so on? So there's a lot of issues we have to consider in terms of enforcement and degrees of reasonableness.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, Mayor.
Council, anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
I'm going to add, thank you, Mayor Taylor. A little bit more if we're talking about bikes in general, is if we're working on this ordinance, if there's a chance that we can require an audible device on the, it can be a bell, it can be, I don't care what it is because not everybody says on your left, on your right. They just come right up the side of you and, it's a problem I know in the park. And we've had complaints about it, and I'm not even sure if we required an audible device, how would we enforce that? And right now, do we require licensing on bikes that in the city, residents? Do they have to get a license? They don't. Okay. That's it. And then the construction that was done by the Macomb Public Works that's in the Edison easement on 15 Mile that's been completed. There are people there that have purchased homes that I think that were upwards of $400,000. And now they're looking out their back door at all of this equipment that, fine, the smell might be gone, but the aesthetics of looking out your window and seeing all of this. could we ask the county to put some kind of landscaping around it? I mean, I know that they might have to go in and do some work on it at certain times, but I just know that these people that have paid an enormous amount of money for these homes didn't expect this in their backyard. It came after they purchased. So if we could take care of that. And I think that's it.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Zarko. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Radke?
Chime in if we're talking about e-bikes very quickly. I talked to the police department today on this very topic, which is very timely. And I was told that the speed limit in our parks is 10 miles an hour. And I asked, how do they enforce it? And they said they don't know. They said they don't even know if they can. So like Mr. Mayor said earlier, if it's 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, if they have no way to enforce it, they're not sure that they can enforce it, I guess a speed limit's a suggestion. Because unless we can write tickets and enforce our speed limit, then it's just an idea in the world. So I think we should look at other cities and what their speed limits are and how they enforce their bike regulations. Because if we can't enforce this ordinance, it's hot air. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Radke. We could put cameras throughout the,
It's an idea. It's an idea.
anyone else? Okay, you know, I will say, I am in favor of banning e-bikes on the sidewalk. I'm not in favor of banning e-bikes in general, but I don't think that e-bikes or e-scooters should be on our sidewalks. That's not what the sidewalks are for. The sidewalks are for pedestrians. They're not for people who are on some sort of motorized form of transport. I mean, why not let motorcycles on the sidewalk? I mean, what's the difference? These people are going 25, 30, 35 miles an hour. It's ridiculous. If you ride an e-bike, then go out in the street and ride it in the street. And if we need to put more bike lanes in, we'll put more bike lanes in. But I don't know the single justification, and I'd love to hear a single justification why motorized forms of transportation should be allowed on our sidewalks. The e-bikes, I mean, you know, people aren't even pedaling. And some of them, you know, and it's like it's giving license to mini bikes to be on the sidewalks too. What's the difference?
Yeah.
So I would be in favor of a full-scale ban of e-bikes, and that'll make enforcement much easier. We can kind of try to say, oh, you can't go this fast, or you got to have a bell, or you got to have this. Not to mention, they're absolutely dangerous, mostly to the people who are riding them, but also, of course, to the other pedestrians. How many more stories do we need to see of 12 and 13-year-old kids dying on these e-bikes before somebody says, look, we got to take some action here? So I would be in favor of a full-scale ban. I don't think that I need until January to get additional information. I don't think there's much more discussion that needs to be had. If somebody can give me a justification why e-bikes should be on the sidewalk, I'm all ears, but I haven't heard one yet. Okay, thank you guys for coming out tonight. Appreciate your patience and all of the comments. As you can tell, I hope that this city council is taking it seriously, and we have made some progress today towards at least having a resolution to this issue one way or the other. Thank you. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
Been moved and supported. With no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.